while we've gotten the double up on Tago, it feels like it just keeps pulling back over. It's one of two things. We either get Song on with like 50% of it water, or we are up next to Shipyard and Army Base. It's kind of just abandoned in the center of it, which I don't have a problem with. That's kind of one of the worst areas that I don't really like to play in Tago.
Ah, okay. I mean, I kind of like most of Tago. Actually, the only place I don't like is the swamps by Hosan Prison. That part is not fun to play through.
I kind of like that area because you can do like all the foot pushes around on those little mini hills.
Yeah.
Now, competitively, it's a lot harder, of course.
Yeah, it's the driving, actually, that ends up just getting down over there, I guess. We're up by Shipyard again, though, so Gen.G, that's been their drop spot here for this game, and Falcons going over to the airport, and they will be A-OK once they get situated.
I love how the fact a lot of players joke that they don't like to go airport on this map because it feels like they're cursing themselves to go to the airport early if they go there. But Falcons, not necessarily too afraid to play around it, feeling pretty good. This is a circle where we don't have too many teams in it. I mean, really, we've got, what, a little bit of T1, but Gen.G is going to have inside track on good positioning. While we've got the map up, I want to point out there's a whole bunch of kind of flatter, more open terrain, of course, over into the east, leading into and around airport. But whenever we come into Shipyard, that territory just to the south of it has got this, I don't want to say big hill, but biggish hill that's over there that a lot of teams can kind of fortify around in different sections of, and kind of creates a fortress for everybody that's kind of playing in the, I guess, the river that's more to the south, it's more open and flat, and then to that eastern territory.
Yeah. The hill around it is one of the bigger ones on Tago for sure. And there's a decent amount of trees and other things to work with that's up by that Shipyard hill. So there is a lot of room in this circle, even though there's quite a bit of water. There's still options. They aren't great in some cases where you might have to kind of hang out at the edges of the fields that have kind of those berms on the outside of them that you can try to hide underneath and wait things out a little bit, try to make your moment. But the real thing I have in mind right now is the fact that this circle is so far away from everybody. Like you mentioned earlier, not a lot of teams starting in it means that there could be one of those situations where teams run into each other while they're rotating or something like that.
Well, I mean, look, this is a early emergency pickup already called from 17 Gaming. I guess maybe wanting to go to the opposite side of the circle. No harm in that. You know, if you go to the eastern area of Shipyard, you can get your back up against the water, push in, know the fact that you don't have to scout as much, going to make you feel a little bit safer. Maybe this is just going to be one of those things where you have a couple players go up, or nope, it is a full commitment. I was going to say maybe they're just doing some scouting with it. Nah, they want to avoid all of the mess because we have been seeing Shipyard a lot this year, and it is just dicey over there, man. I mean, we just talked about PUBG Nations Cup. Brazil had a massive game coming out of Shipyard.
Yeah. I mean, you can fight out a Shipyard pretty well. Again, going uphill in a situation like this, a little bit easier sometimes, especially with the amount of cover that you're going to be afforded in parts of this area of the map. So, yeah, I think what 17's doing perfectly fine. I wouldn't be surprised to see them, like you mentioned, go to the complete opposite end here. They're going to see Gen.G underneath them, kind of center-ish. So I wouldn't think that that would be where they want to get out. I think one of them just got tagged in the middle of the airport, guys.
Falcons rotated really quick away from airport. They already have Gustav that's got a foothold in those hills that we were talking about south of Shipyard. But it looks like they've got a couple of rotation options. I think that they're just going to get more control over that southeastern hillside. A couple other squads going to be rotating over there pretty close to it. Petrichor Road going to be right back behind it. Tyloo actually has one Dragon that got stuck behind Petrichor Road, so the rest of the squad going to be in front. Is, yeah, 17's pulling, and they are going as far to the northeast as you can get on this map.
Yeah. I think this makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Looking for maybe some vehicles that didn't get scooped up along the way, and, you know, Wenbo's already got one for the team, and VC going to roll into Shipyard proper. Try to figure out if anybody's in here. Gen.G has a player close. It's Bean and somebody else over there with him. Looks like D, as they went into a 2-2, but they're going to drive away from this. Don't want to give Vicious Esports an opportunity to find a free pick or something like that. Or maybe they're just going to spread out a little bit. They're leaving D on his own.
So while we're looking at what's going on with the circle, also remember that we do have, I guess, the river that turns into the dried river. That's a big core component of this circle, going down into the south, and the territory that's just going to be to the west of that, that's also incredibly hilly. We don't know how the circles are going to pop, because remember, these are the new circles. For all we know, we could go back over to the west of Shipyard, just because why not? Really, Super is the only squad that's playing over there right now. I dare you to cross that bridge next to Shipyard. It's not going to feel good, and I don't think that they're going to go that route. But we've got a lot of late rotators down to the southwest, where we can see Full Sense about to make their move. Anyone's Legend's going to be very close to them. Sharper's going to be back behind that. Even Shadow down there, is a lot of squads are like, nah, man, I don't even want to go center on this one. I'm just waiting for Circle 2.
Well, this is what I'm a little worried about for Gen.G, is D's all on his own. he needs to get the heck out of here, man. He is getting surrounded. He's gonna have to do some damage.
This is a very interesting push coming out from VC. They see an opportunity. They abandon Shipyard. They go for the hillside, get themselves a decent spot. D's going to be playing the other side of it for now, but this is pretty vulnerable, specifically with 17. Hearing this firefight, they're also moving in pretty close. So the longer this goes in, I like this. A side rat coming in from Gen.G on the side flank of it. D is going to go down. Is this going to pull Gen.G off of it? No, they're going to commit. Beam gets down, duck by.
Well, they have to at this point. I mean, D was dead to rights if they didn't get there quick, and being able to at least buy a little bit of extra time, Tycon will at least take the point for now. VC has established themselves. They've got their position taken, and Gen.G has to retreat, so that's going to be blue chip on the ground.
I like this from Gen.G. They wanted to go for D, see if they can maybe get him out. Yes, they have a high ground position over that compound, but they know too many people are going to be vying for positions on this hillside, so they need to get out very quickly. 17's already just going to be in the north of them. Vitality already over into the east. To the south, it's going to be Falcons, and T1 kind of close as well. So abandoning that position, while it did cost them D, does also mean the fact that they can get into a better defended position for all of their neighbors that are due to start messing with them sooner or later.
I think the mistake there is just leaving D in the beginning. And I talked about when VC goes into Shipyard, that compound that D is in is actually pretty easy to encroach upon from the Shipyard spot. So that's exactly what happened. When you're on your own, you can't really defend that.
Super is going in for an entirely different strategy right now, as it looks like it's all the way up into the north of Shipyard entirely. They're out in the water. They're going to go ahead and wrap into that section of it. Should be pretty okay. So with VC kind of abandoning this spot, Super's going to find it for near on free.
Yeah, but the Supers are going to have to get it done on foot now. Not going to have the luxury of having, a Dacia or a US or something like that as they try to make their way forward. Now, the good news for them in a way is that everybody in front of them is a little bit split up for the most part. VC's pretty coordinated, like in terms of being pretty close to each other, but like Sha Wu, for example, who's on the edge of one of those warehouses in the Shipyard, Human can just do a little bit of scouting out there, make sure nobody's coming up behind him. He can watch the bridge a little bit.
Hide behind the cargo barges over here. He's got that pier that he can kind of keep an eye on. I mean, there are a couple of foot push capabilities coming out, and I wouldn't be surprised if Supers went for this strategy, maybe to see if maybe they already have or are looking for another emergency pickup that they could use, because we often see bouncing out of Shipyard in that strategy pretty common. There's a couple of foot push paths that you can go for, but that's a problem for later because this circle is going to stay on Shipyard. It's just the guys to the south, so let's get ready. T1 is going to have to be defending or really abandoning that position, while it's going to be a VP, AGAL, NAVI, Gen.G, Full Sense, Sharper. I mean, we even have Shadow as well as Petrichor Road all having to regroup on the hillside we just keep talking about.
Yeah, it's going to get a little bit chaotic maybe. It's starting to really narrow down the amount of playable terrain that is going to be available. AGAL once again going to be in a fight early, but Salalzi spotted out Hausker before he could get that Panzer put into place. And all of a sudden, Tai Lu on the ropes early here against AGAL. Lee was getting, I think, called back in or something here. Falcons taking a bit of a fight against, I believe, Vitality out there. Tickleton's going to take a point for them, but Kong Kong trying to hold the line. Some grenades are going to hit him, though. He's going to throw a stun in response, but if that frag, oh, it almost got him.
The longer this goes on, the scarier it gets. Gen.G still needs to get in the circle, and they're going to be wrapping over here. They might choose to third party. AGAL feels like they've got the momentum already set up for themselves, but they don't want to overextend onto anything right now. They want to try to reset the pacing just a bit more, see if they can get any knocks. Lee's on the other side of this right now. Has a lot of vision on at least Sololzi on position, but this is kind of isolated. Not too much he can do. Nade's going to land pretty close to Sololzi, but it's going to bounce a couple times, so continue on its merry way. It's going to peek around, and Sololzi just denies Lee to do anything.
Yeah, point blank there. If Lee had cooked that frag grenade a lot more, he could have maybe gotten Salalzi there, but it wasn't cooked at all. He just kind of tossed it in. Meanwhile, Delwyn trying to use the edge of the smokes, yes indeed, goodbye, to try to do something about this. Hemas hits his teammate. That didn't go good.
Well, if you go with explosions enough, sooner or later there's going to be a problem. One Dragon, now the last one up for Tai Lu, but only one up. And Himas, as he's trying to go for the res as fast as possible. Gen.G is starting to get some vision on the outside of this. Full Sense also encroaching from the south, so the longer this goes on, the more problems continue to mount as One Dragon's across on the other side of the road. I don't know if he's going to go for anything else here, as it's just going to be pretty defended. mean, he's going for a couple of peaks, but nothing's revealing itself.
This looked like it was going to be a pretty clean fight for AGAL, but it's gone very sideways, very fast.
Sorry, I saw that Vince deny the grenade, and it just reminded me of whenever Barney denied the shot coming up from Kolaris.
Oh, yeah,
today.
right.
That was just full rejection.
Yep, just denied, absolutely. I mean, not that it would be hard to stop Kolaris. He isn't, you know, the most athletic.
He was trying. He was trying his hardest.
But his best is never going to be good enough, Matt.
I forgot you guys have bad blood. That's part of the lore.
Yeah, the lore, yeah, exactly.
All right, AGAL looks like they should be able to get their fourth man back up, and poor old One Dragon living up to his name as he is all by himself down here. As Gen.G going to go ahead and move away more into the west. Looks like Full Sense doesn't really want to get too involved in this. Vitality actually calls an emergency pickup just in case. They're not going to need it. Circle pops right on top of them. And good old Supers, now you got to figure out how you're going to get out of Shipyard. Of course, a couple of pads, but it looks like 17 is going to regroup. And I'm more caught up in what's going on with T1, VP, and VC right on the edge of the zone.
Yeah, for sure. That western edge may get a little bit bloody. You know, Full Sense now just setting up a bit of a barricade on their edge of the circle to keep AGAL pinned in if they try to encroach on their territory. Nixie just doing a little bit of a fact-finding mission. I mean, this is incredible from Zalalzi right into Lee. Really nicely done. Now, if we get to see the follow-up from him, it didn't go so good. And this right here, that's your teammate there, bud. I mean, I get it. He was trying to get it around the corner to hit the other player, and Delwyn kind of walked into it.
While that was going on, Nixie does get dropped. That's I guess a minor problem for VP. T1 has a side position just down to the south. That's going to stall out any knock onto VP on this approach is really going to throw off the pacing. Ian flanking back behind this one. Gets a good angle. Lucarux is going to go down, and VP with 2 players already knocked and a BRDM just waiting to be stolen.
That's huge for T1. That is such a nice find. I mean, we saw how valuable that BRDM was for VP in the previous game, and they're able to deny that one this game. That's awful for Virtus Pro, who played so well on Erangel. Here on Tego, not going to be able to recreate the same magic, most likely. Yes, Beamy and Crexy, very, very good, but as a duo, nigh impossible to be putting up double-digit kills. We'll have to wait and see. Is Heather kind of right behind Beamy, driving in his general direction?
Nowhere to go. It is going to be Supers making the push to the south, right as VC is making their rotate, hops inside of a vehicle, and Simon just gets instant drop by Heaven. T1 hears that firefight. Looks like they're trying to backstab, see if they can get a piece of what's going to go on. Falcons also going to be to the east of this with some minimal vision. Trees are going to deny out a lot, but it's going to be enough to make it complicated, as that's going to be another knock. Nade from Rex drops on top of Duckmine.
Yeah, he's able to do some really nice damage up there, is Rex, because Heaven was really in a lot of trouble. Had to go prone into the smoke to get the heal through. Like this from the Supers, they got to clear an edge, and if they can deal with VC, at least make them weak, then they're going to buy themselves a little bit more space. Now, the concern, of course, is going to be that Falcons also going to be up ahead of you, and you got a little bit too far ahead of the rest of them. Did Rex there, and he pays the price. He almost gets knocked by Falcons off screen. Meanwhile, the rest of Supers trying to find some kind of safety into this next circle, and they're getting harassed the whole way in.
I mean, there's a couple of little divots and shacks that you can play, but none of it feels super good. At least get you away from the NAVI firing line just to the south. Anyone's Legend also going to be approaching on a similar vector to this and maybe distract T1. So with DL down, it's going to be Tig that managed to get the shot, but I think this is pretty safe from that firing line. And now T1's having to focus back onto Anyone's Legend, so that should be resible and safe. Shack Life, best life for now, is it's going to be a circle pops and moves away yet again as, man, Super is just chasing the circle.
Yeah, now it's just getting even more difficult. There are going to be more and more teams fighting for this territory. And taking that knock on the DL, really painful. That helmet going to be very beat up. And Delwyn does find E-End off screen. Falcons here just staring down. And anytime the Supers try to pop out and do much, they're just going to be getting lit up.
You're a lot of shots. That's going to be Anyone's Legend getting vision on T1, as whereas Petrichor Road going for a regroup. They were running a bit of a 2-2 split. Up to the north, we also do have Shadow getting very close to 17. A lot of individual fights starting to break out. It's VC now trying to backstab onto T1. Type just denies out as much of that as he can try to get, but there's nowhere else for him to really go. He's got to deal with the looming large threats in front of him. Heather at least has the BRDM, but Vicious is going to go down. Not too many options as Navi realizes they don't want to push into the circle yet. Instead, they're going to push into the face of all those squads that are stacked up on top of each other, see how much more they can get.
Look, Human actually gets typed there. It's just that BRDM that's left for T1. They took a prize and they can't do much with it. Supers fighting on a lot of different fronts and getting knocks, but They're also losing players along the way. There's DL back on the ground again. I'd be curious if his helmet is even still attached to his head at this point. Rex takes a headshot, so all this gear is just getting absolutely destroyed along with their players. Rex falls to Shrimzy's hands.
Super's just having to chain res while they walk into firing line upon firing line. Mas up on top is going to go ahead and get more damage onto NAVI and force their line and force their hand right into the Supers. Nowhere else to really go, but Shrimzy's going to get a piece of it. NAVI is going to go down, and now that's more space for the Supers to deal with, but Falcons are very focused in dealing with Supers, while 17 feels like they're trying to take shots on the other side of Falcons.
It's going to get a little weird here on this western edge. Himas, oh, not sure who got that knock. It was Himas indeed who got Heaven. So Heaven out in the blue, and it's going to be quickly bled out. But Beamy all of a sudden springs to life. Virtus Pro split out very, very wide. Beamy made himself a foxhole, and he's going to profit from it. Almost finds another.
I mean, this is just kind of hunkered down over here. Remember, we saw them take those 2 casualties early, so they've just been hiding over in this location. Human going to be his closest neighbor now, if anyone's legend right on top of him. Falcons can't go into the path of the circle that they wanted to, so it's going to be Gen.G in the compounds with defense. 17 behind that one. Falcons just got to send it. It's going to be right onto the other side of what's going to be going on with VP. Correxy right in the mix of it all, and he's going to go down off this rotate from the Falcons.
Yeah, this is nice for the Falcons. They're able to get kind of an already established position for themselves, a rock, a foxhole, a little bit of safety. They can potentially get this res unless Heather has something to say about it. Tanadol as well. That's a little bit of damage there to kick. Here goes Heather. Is he just going to drive into that? Oh, he just missed it. If he had maybe ridden into the back of that car, he might have been able to get a knock.
Just a heady play coming up, stay on top of the car. Oh, no!
I thought he was going to flip it.
Kickstart, making a kick flip there with his vehicles, and it looks like they're trying to see if they can contain Heather. I don't know, just buy enough time maybe to get everybody inside the cars. Do they have a Panzerfaust maybe in the back of one of them?
Well, now they just have to light it up. I mean, they've got to try to wear through that armor, but look how healthy this BRDM still is. I mean, maybe 75% health left here. Gustav lucky. Oh, there's the run over. He got 2!
That's big. That is terrible. Full sense just watching on the outside of this. Falcons were having such a good game, finding so many kills, and to have it start coming apart this way, now it's just going to be an easy nade toss right into the thick of them all. T1's Heather as a solo takes down the Falcons.
That was such a tricky spot because of that BRDM. The Falcons there. I mean, Gustav got lucky on the first pass through. He had just gotten a health in when he got hit by the BRDM, was able to survive it because of that. And then still the reset there for Heather, and he is going to slurp up a lot of good util.
I feel so bad for the Falcons on that one. It felt like everything was going good. 7 kills, 3 players up in the circle, and then good old BRDM T1 rolling right through your life. You can see that they went from feeling good to suddenly like, oh, I don't even know how we could have done anything there a little bit differently. Sharper now on approach to the circle, JDG to the south, as Full Sense has got control over to the west-ish, but also kind of to the south, as they're running a very wide 2-1-1.
I'm very curious about JD Gaming. What are we going to be doing here? Belmoth at least bullied away from their western flank. The bad news is that Sharper has some kind of angle down into him. Petrichor Road just ahead of this as well.
Where's this
Mortars up in the air.
Is this after the BRDM beast himself? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
That's a hell of a shot. That came very close to Heather's BRDM there. And that
just moves it a few feet forward. Nah, man, I don't want to play that game. Everything's fine. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe that was Flash and Full Sense that took the shots. I didn't see exactly where it came out. There's just a spattering of solos that are over here. I mean, we can see that Guman's trying to make a play on the Flash. A couple of shots. Doesn't get the knock. That's very atypical. I mean, usually Guman can get those. So now he's put himself in an awkward spot. Beamy's just going to be the north of that, getting some of Gen.G's attention, as well as I think 17's.
Okay, there's the mortar. We found the seat of the crime, and it's a surprise from Tigger. It is going to be Guman getting taken out. Could not convert. Soul does find Beamy, so Virtus Pro will fall in 10th as well. So Virtus Pro not able to kind of replicate some of that great energy they had from game 1, but that's okay. They're doing just fine.
But look at this. Full Sense already being aggro onto the other side with Petrichor Road down to the south. 17 managed to just demolish JDG. There's just not much else that can happen over there. Sharper's got control over to the southeast-ish. They're just now touching over here, but this is a more open section of the circle as continuing our theme is trying to figure out how you can dig the best inside of some of these circles. We're going to get a lot more of open territory that we're going to be moving into. The circle does pop over to the north. Gen.G's got a compound. It's going to be Shadow having the eastern side of it, and Heather in control of, I guess, everything else with the BRDM.
Yeah, Heather's just very, very excited to still be in this game, to be honest, because he's been able to salvage some extra points. We're already in the placement points as well, and that's definitely something that your team is going to be feeling good about as the next couple of days wear on. Another mortar exploding in the backside there, not really connecting onto anything that I can see. My eyes on the Gen.G here with 3 players up. You know, maybe somebody makes a go at their kind of flimsy compound they've got up on the north side.
I'm just kind of confused in what you do down to the south. Okay, you're going to be moving into the more open section of the circle in the south. Even if you get there, Full Sense has got a lot of players already set up. Heather's already got a ridge line of defense. You can see that Petrichor Road's having to deal with Sharper on the other side. Double up blue zones, a ton of frag grenades coming out. Sharper's realized it's going to be really hard to get in the circle. 17's already got vision on them, so they've just got to take down Petrichor Road, see if they can get anything else out of it. And this has just opened up Full Sense to take whatever they want. Vitality, though, does look like they have the same idea as Sharper, but they're going to go after Sharper. Looks like they're sneaking up right back behind him, trying to see if they can get the backstab up, but it's just a second too late.
Sharper has to give up this ridgeline now, and that's opened up an opportunity for Vitality to potentially punish them a little bit. And 17 still struggling over there. It's being into Setsuna taking the point, and here goes Sharper forced into Petrichor Road. They're falling at the hands of Ming Ming and company. 0-4 getting in there as well. Earth, the only one alive, and Petrichor Road still has all 4 players up.
Full Sense with 2 of their players just keep roaming back down here to see if they can steal anything. Going to go ahead and pick up 1 of the kills out of all it. Good old Earth Zapuli now in the thick of everything with Petrichor Road. Looks like seeing if he can get anything more out of it. Not going to get the knock. He's outside the blue. He's going to go down. Ming Ming's going to go ahead and send him back down into the dirt. Now it's going to be Vitality that has to figure out how they're going to get into the circles. Petrichor Road's at least managed to get a foothold with 1 of their players.
Yeah, Chewy's going to see some of Full Sense next to him over there, so he has to start letting loose with the grenades, but all that can really do is just move Tigger off the mark a little bit. Does have this Panzer here. And the fact that he hasn't used it just yet, kind of concerning. I'm not sure if Full Sense has spotted this. Maybe Belmoth got a view of it.
I'm worried for Petrichor on the other side. It's been Shadow taking a lot of shots at Vitality, so Vitality just has to go further down to the south, and suddenly Petrichor Road finds themselves pinched yet again. Petrichor Road spins back on it quick. Ming Ming gets the knock on Levante and makes it look easy, but that's going to be a surrender of position coming up from Petrichor Road, and while we do see Vitality fall, Full Sense has got control of the south.
Yeah, this has been a really nice, kind of slow and steady game. Tigger will be claiming Ming Ming, knocking Petrichor down in 6. Yeah, Heather just vibing. I mean, nobody's going to mess with him for a while. Now, there was that Panzerfaust that we saw in one of those vehicles on the southern edge that Chewy from Petrichor Road had. So I'm wondering if Full Sense was able to scoop that up, and that may be the thing that ends up spelling Heather's demise. Meanwhile, Shadow Esports getting deep into another game. Let's see if they can get another win. We saw it yesterday. They shocked us, and I'd love to see it happen again.
Most of the circle is going to be to the top of the screen over there where you see Heather kind of roaming around. Gen.G's got to leave their compound position. We also do have Shadow that has to push their way in. Heather's just kind of roaming around trying to see where he's not going to get shot at, to see how much more placement points he can get. Actually, he's going to jump back out, take a couple of shots. Very bold plays coming out is I think that Heather's found himself a bit more than he wanted. He's got Full Sense to the south taking shots at him. Gen.G to the east of his position. I mean, poor old Heather. You just want to be left alone.
No one's going to be happy with that when you're in a BRDM, though. I think it blew up. Yeah, it's gone.
He has been flaunting it, to be honest.
True.
He's just been roaming around in front of everybody, be like, look at what I've got, guys.
Yeah, it's like, you know, the oligarchy over there. Well, finally, he's going to be going down. Soul will take him down in the end. That BRDM only had so much health, and eventually it gets blowed up. But this BRDM still very much alive. So Shadow looking to see if they can maybe get a little bit further into this circle, digging. I mean, you got quite a way to go here, Hansy. I mean, that's a solid 10 meters, 14 meters in front of you there that you have to dig, so could take a little while. Meanwhile, Full Sense, full control because they have that BRDM and quite a nice piece of land.
Most of the high ground for Shadow is going to go away, and even if you keep digging more forward, you're going to start putting yourself in a vulnerable spot. So yeah, I like this. Go for the rocks. Not quite yet in, but at least now you're committing down onto one squad because there was no real way. You had to either go Gen.G side or he had to go full synth side, and full synth has been doing such a good job on covering their movements. Every single time that they need to bounce into a new position, they've been roaming around. I'm talking these guys are putting in the miles. They've been over into the east, over down in the south, control of the west, time and time again, finding a new position to play from.
Yeah, well, the kills haven't been like astronomical for Full Sense. They've been really good at not like giving up themselves for free to other players. Now, Hansi does go down, but Flash going to steal that point away from Gen.G's salute. That's huge. You know, that they get these points where they can. Full Sense, you know, are defending PGC champions, want to do better than they did on day one. Up to 36 points now. So far, I think Shadow just knows that this is cooked.
Yeah, Tigger's got a present waiting if they peek around. So Shadow's going to go down. The underdog story is still trying to continue right now as these guys make it in late stage yet again, finding some kills. But it's just going to be the lineup between Full Sense to the south and now Gen.G to the north.
Saw Soul with a Mark 14 there. So he's picked up some level 3 weaponry for himself. Bean does have that Panzer, so if there's kind of an overstep from Full Sense with their BRDM, he might be able to punish it. It's just how aware, again, is Full Sense of that. They might just try to drive at it.
I'm a bit nervous for Gen.G here. They do have this hillside, but it doesn't feel too good once you actually get into the circle. So they're going to try to go for a counter pinch on this one, but nice shot's got to come up from Tigger. That's 2 down. Gen.G had a plan, and it was instantly destroyed.
Yeah, they're looking to try to do that exact same thing to that BRDM, and Tigger's having none of it. Trying to take out the final member.
Bullying for the end of it, nowhere to go. Gen.G is out and Full Sense gets it.
Yeah, that's a really just sturdy game from Full Sense. Just kind of navigating a lot of tricky situations where maybe if you overcommit to something, because there's a ton of fighting on that southwestern edge where they're sitting, they're able to just kind of keep everybody else at bay, find their points where they need to, avoid any big damage, any big fights, get that BRDM and get the win.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a lot of squads kind of stacked on top of each other, trying to go for full defense, while Full Sense was slower in their roams and approach, and it felt like consistently had control of the southwest, time and time again in these very wide controlled angles where they were trusting each other to just really have each other's backs, and if anybody approached, instantly counterpounce, push them off. Gen.G on the other side of that, just kind of holding down the compound for as long as they needed to.
Yeah, I mean, Gen.G there, again, kind of losing that player very early in D. The fact that they're able to get as deep as they do with just 3, not bad. Able to find a few kills here and there, not too bad. Let's listen in. Yep, that's nice, yep. That's just, again, it was a steady game.
I'm so glad we got the victory team comms coming out from that whenever we saw the BRDMs rolling around instead of what we got with Falcons, because those had to be the quietest of calm. I mean, what do you even do? Poor old Falcons and Heather. Respect for doing it, man, but that was one of the dirtiest things I've seen in PUBG in a while.
It's just tough if you don't have the Panzer, you know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do in that situation, especially when you're kind of stuck and you're taking damage, and it's just really hard to kind of find a way out of it. And Heather, to his credit, you know, played it nicely. That's kind of he has a huge advantage, but still
that was a great
done.
salvage game coming out from them. Of course, we talked about Falcons and the weird BRDM stuff that happened with them, but they still had a decent kill count coming out from that game. Shadow, later stages, time and time again, finding just enough, it feels like.
Well, they're hanging in there. They still need to pick up the pace maybe just a little bit. I mean, we were kind of talking backstage what we think the point cutoff is going to be. Somewhere around 60 points is kind of what we were sort of feeling at the time.
That's the inherent average that we tend to see.
Exactly. I mean, and so it's pretty standard stuff when you're playing 6 games a day for, you know, 12 games total. It's just, I need to see just a little bit more from them, but they're hanging in there. Their macro at least can be good. When they're given opportunities, they can hang in there.
You know what I need to see? Anyone's legend surviving for, I don't know, Circle 4?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with them, but it is just, the rotates are just a problem right now, man. I don't know if it's their scouting. I don't know if they're just more confident in their approach than what they actually wanted. It's just absolutely crazy as we've got another squad in the hunt, and that is going to be Vitality. I believe Coloris has Levante on the stage.
That's right. Thank you very much, guys. Of course, Levante here, the big man himself here to talk about everything that's going on. So my first question, Levante here, to start things off. This game just now, you're in the compound, Circle 6 shifts away from you. What's the plan for the team?
Найти поинты, сделать игру максимально хорошую для нас, зафармить все и попытаться зайти в placement поинты найти киллы, найти плейсмент-поинты, в целом все. Ну, шифт, конечно, неприятный. Двигаемся дальше.
Points to make the game maximally good for us to gather up and to maneuver forward. Yes, indeed, the circle 6, the form, okay, not so good for us, but we're moving forward. We are going ahead, finding points. That's it.
Okay, fair play. And overall, what was your kind of impressions of yesterday? What went down? Do you think that you could have had a little bit more points on some of the certain games? What was your perspective on day number 1?
Конечно, мы должны были и обязаны были вчера набрать больше поинтов, но мы допускали в своих играх глупые ошибки, из-за этого где-то не добрали, где-то плохо сыграли, но сегодня дали себе обещание парням, кто нас поддерживает в нашей организации, что мы справимся и сделаем сегодня все для того, чтобы пройти финал.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yesterday we must have had to score more points, but somehow we failed to do so. Nevertheless, we have time, we have today. We made a commitment to ourselves, between the players and to the guys who are committed to that we are going to get those points, refocus, gather up, and move forward.
All right, well, thank you very much, Levante, for joining us. All right, it's time for a flex off. We do flex off. All right, that's Levante. Let's go.
He can come in here and play my game. Let's go. He knows nothing. Let's go!
Tyler Wine, you're done.
Are you tired of taking down your enemies with those boring regular frag grenades and blue zone grenades? Introducing the red zone grenade, the newest edition.
See this? Made with Envato without a production budget, and you can do the same. As a video creator, I need high quality visuals that stand out but don't come with a Hollywood price tag. With an Envato subscription, I get access to video gen for B-roll, music gen for soundtrack, AI voiceovers and images all in one place. Plus unlimited downloads of motion graphics, LUTs, transitions, templates and fonts, everything I need to edit faster. With more than 26 million assets. Cut the cost, cut the time, and make better videos. Now that's seriously great value. If you're a creator, this is your sign to try Envato today.
Sign up at some point, maybe a QR code will, there you go. Oh, that was magical.
Magic.
Just make sure you use, you just scan that QR code, sign up, you can earn rewards, and we might even end up interviewing you on the finals. Check that out, the Esports Foundation Creator Program. Lots of rewards to be earned right there. But talking about earning rewards, a great reward for Full Sense finally showing up.
Finally showing up after catching a few circles and, of course, having a BRDM and, of course, having all the other teams kind of take care of each other. But look, the PGC 2025 champions, they showed up.
We said in the pre-show they need to step up and have a day like the fact that you win the world and then kind of have to make a name for yourself, struggle back, prove to everyone you deserve to be in the final can be a tricky thing. So to get a win here, whether it's by an inch or a mile, doesn't matter. Chicken is a chicken. It cooks the same no matter how you get it, is good for them, and I think sets them on a path to maybe grind it back up.
Do we think they were gifted that because Gen.G just full sent with no capabilities and got blasted in the face right at the end? But I'm just going to leave that right there because what?
Also, just to point out the fact that Full Sense had that in the fact that they still had that late into the game with multiple BRDMs coming around, it's like Gen.G could not have expected they would have a Panzer there.
Right, no, because the weight of the Panzer, and especially like using it lately, it got nerfed, it's hard to move with, it's not the counter that it used to be, so people just stopped using it as much, right? So the fact, yeah, you can't expect that. The BRDMs, it's like, oh, when Batulan uses it, nobody stops him. But here they come. Oh, there's a pocket Panzer. No one likes those.
I'm glad you guys are talking about that stuff because I got a chance to finally see the Splat Maker in action. That BRDM.
Yeah,
by the way, yeah, well, you'll get a chance to see it. The one I was actually talking about, it's none other. Whoa, this one. Oh my God.
That's what we're talking about.
That ending was beautiful. And then there was another one that hopefully we'll be able to show later on because Falcons, my goodness, Falcons. What were we thinking at one point as we look at the team stats right here from Full Sense?
Yeah,
It's a
I
whole
mean,
other conversation.
we were having this conversation about Falcons before. You know, I was like, oh, they were kind of gifted a great zone, and you know, but they lack that ability to defend their position. And I mean, it just took T1 to sort of use the exploit against them. And Falcons really slow decision making in that altercation with, I think it was Heather. I mean, they did an interview before. They were trolling in that interview, and I'm feeling like the trolling is bleeding into their gameplay because that was questionable.
I mean, at the end of the day, Heather, I think he knew what he was doing. He was like, I'm just going to try to pick up a little point here. Be a little bit of a, for lack of a better word, a butthead to these guys. And he drove around them in a circle. And yes, Gustav and Kickstart jumped out at the same time. And I think it just was a miscommunication. Trimsy had the right eye. He's leaning out of the car. He knows he's not a threat to being run over. And I think maybe the other two just thought the other guy's taking that seat. I'm going to jump out and try to make the assist here. And it was just one of those situations where when you're in the smoke, you can't see anything. We've all had this, right? The fire alarm goes off. You wake up. The whole house is dark. You try to run to the door. You smash your shins on the side table. Like, it happens.
Where are you living?
America. This is what happens.
I don't think I've ever really experienced that, but this
Toast, but it doesn't look like this.
This was just a mess. I don't really know what else to say. Heather, I mean, Heather played well. He managed to get 3 kills off the Falcons. Yes, they were in smoke. It was a sticky situation, but I kind of expected a different outcome. But you know what? Heather takes those. And
PUBG happens.
Yeah, PUBG happens.
And the thing is that Heather just kept running into trees too. He had so much time.
This is what I said about slow decision making from the Falcons.
Well, I don't think he thought he was going to last that long. Like, honestly,
exactly. I think he was just trying to harass his
100%. Do something before he goes down. And I think he may even thought, like, you can kill me and take this BRDM. You're not taking me until you blow it up, kind of thing. And he was surprised. He hit the tree because he didn't think he'd make it around that circle.
And Gatsby, we were even saying, why didn't just Falcons go on top of the rocks? They could have just ended up.
Well, they couldn't go to the very top because I know they were getting shot. That's why they had so many smokes out in the first place. But I mean, to stay on the ground level, especially with that thing just circling, it's rough. They had a ditch. Look, it is what it is. I don't want to harp too much on that.
No, but I think the key here is I wouldn't call this like a call problem, and I wouldn't even call it a positioning problem. I would just say that was like a comedy of errors. It happens.
Yeah.
And that's where, like you say, PUBG happens. We go next, and that's the beautiful thing about the game, right? With your friends at home or on these teams, sometimes you drop, sometimes you have a bad match. You get back to lobby, you reset, you go again. So that's what these guys are going to do, and they're the professionals who can do it.
That being said, they at least had, I think, 7 kills in that game. So they still had points. It's not like it was just a complete donut for them. So yeah, it wasn't an awful game. It just ended unfortunately.
And for Falcons, they're kind of allowed to do that because it is their first day of groups. This is only the second map. They still have a lot more to go. As we're looking at now the overall, obviously for everybody tuning in, for some reason you missed out yesterday. You missed out on absolute dominance from Myth, but they're currently not playing here today. We have Virtus Pro now being able to pop up. Lace Virtus Pro in 3rd place.
Yeah, I mean, Virtus Pro is pretty much qualified at this point.
Yeah, like it's just like an exceptional game from the start, and this is what like a lot of teams are sort of lacking focus on, is taking those massive games in the early stages, and that's exactly what VP are doing. Like I said yesterday, it was kind of like a mid-range game for them, but they're sitting up in that top 3 because they know their competitors from yesterday.
Let's talk Shadow Esports for a second, all right? Because they got to the late game that time. They're at 44 points. Here's why we have the conversation. This is an example of, can a team make it work? They are shocked by how they walked away yesterday. They actually end up with a decent game too. They've got 4 more to grind out that extra 20 points. Do you think they can do it, Godspeed? He's sighing. He sighed loudly. You guys couldn't hear it at home.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this lobby, as it continues to manifest, I think the teams that are better than them are going to figure it out, and I think they're going to get trapped in rotation mainly. I'm calling it now.
He was much more polite here on the desk than he was in the green.
They're going to have rotation issues. That's my guess for them.
I agree with that. I think as much as it'd be fun to go all in on them, I don't know that I can do that just yet.
Yeah, you know, I ended up saying that my predictions have been going off on the pick'ems, but to be completely honest, Lace, I kind of just want to see them in the finals. I know you guys are saying that it's going to be hard, and honestly, we kind of saw that in the first game as well out of that squad, as they ended up with a big old donut on that first game. Here, being able to bounce back, but if they can maybe just string some good performances, they just might end up doing it.
Yeah, well, let's talk, if we're talking about donuts, let's talk about another team that's been sort of sending those in, and that's NAVI. We're 2 games in. I know it's early, but I've seen 4 points, I think, total coming out of them in 2 games. I expect better when it comes to a team like NAVI.
And I would agree with you, but for whatever reason, they just haven't been able to get it together. I don't know. That team, it's difficult for me to pinpoint what exactly the first two games. The first one, the circle was rough, right?
Yeah.
Second one, still, it's rotations. They couldn't even make it in. So I think that's definitely something, as long as they can just, maybe the first two games, they weren't feeling it. Maybe they kind of had to go a little wider on their rotation than they wanted to. But either way, they should. I still think Navi is okay. I'm not super worried about them.
They didn't really get to capitalize on like a many eliminations in match one, so that was probably their sort of time to get the points on the board. But yeah, game two, I just didn't even see them show up.
I saw Vitality's get sent in. Their last player getting, patted on the back by the coaches, looked like he was masked up and not feeling great. So that could something maybe get our team on the floor to go look into. Because again, Vitality in that race needs to be on their game. And if they're doing it with a player who's not feeling at the top, like that is something that can have a massive effect on the team. It hurts your comms. It hurts the speed of your thought. It really can get in the way.
Yeah, well, for this squad, especially for all the squads that are in Group A, you do have 4 matches left. For some of the other squads in Group C, you still got some time. Falcons will let it slide. You did end up getting the 7 eliminations. I just wanted to see the Splatmaker in action once again, but I'm hearing we have something amazing with Kalaris and Avenger on the stage.
That's right. Thank you very much, guys. Of course, there's a lot of great players here, but we wanted to talk about some of the very best so far here from Esports World Cup 2026. I am with Avenger, once again, another very tall person here to talk about everything that's been going on so far, and we'd be missing the point, I think, if we didn't start with good old Kiss Magic.
Yeah, we have to talk about, of course, him coming here, changing into the French Kiss, getting 18 kills in just 6 games. Not playing today, but still leading that is just insane, right? Sure, we've just played 2 games so far today, and it's all up for grabs. After the second game, Levante actually jumped into the second place of overall damage, still behind Example.
Yeah, got to hear from him just before, of course, he's able to,
He's flexing on the lobby.
He's muscling everybody out of the way. He's one of the very, very best here so far. But of course, as you say, in terms of that damage done, yeah, you don't quite have Example here to be able to keep that going. But you say, what, 2 games still in hand, and he's still able to put up those kinds of numbers?
I think Levante is something like 3,000 damage, and Example, with 2 games less played, is 3,500 something. So still leading by more than 500 damage, having played less. So yeah, crazy amount of damage done yesterday. Remember that game in Miramar where he was on the roof, fragging out, getting tons of damage, but few kills, but he was farming that game.
All right, well, that's the bronze. Let's talk about some of the brains here as well. I mean, I'm not going to stick with Twisted Minds right now. I'm not going to talk about Batulus because he's always kind of in the focus of all of that. I want to go back to Myth because Jacob really, with what they've been able to do so far with PGSs as well as yesterday, that's a scary formula.
Yeah, every time we talk to them, every time we hear from kids, like, yeah, they're praising him so much, the way that he's putting them into these situations where they're able to frag out and get into positions where there are 3 or 4 alive. So Jacob, very much so. For this year, I've been so impressed with him. So hopefully they can continue to push that on.
All right, well, thank you very much, Avenger here. Of course, you should keep your eyes on all of these players. It's time to go to the commentators here for our next game of the day.
Okay, got about 4 games left on the day and 4 games left in the livelihood of a whole group. They've got to make sure that they get everything that they can get right now. We talked a lot about Levante and the capabilities, but this is a guy that's got to make sure he gets points at the end of the day.
No doubt. I mean, he's had a nice day so far. One of our top fraggers here throughout these first couple of games. So that's a nice start for Vitality and Levante, but still work to be done for sure. I mean, you can't take it easy right now. You got to keep up the pace, got to keep pushing to make sure that you finish this day as strong as possible. You don't want to leave kind of that point cutoff anywhere that feels dangerous.
And I'm scared because the desk was talking about it. Navi has been kind of non-existent so far. There's going to be a point where that stops being a thing. And once that happens, they're going to start eating up the points around them. I mean, there is a world where maybe that Navi just doesn't have anything big that happens on the day, but that would just absolutely surprise me. AGAL needs to get something big going. We can look on the other sides of this, and if you are a Shadow fan and they are in the hunt, they only need a little bit more. They just need to find something. It's really them and Vitality. Can they find just enough to really squeak in about another 20-ish points?
Yeah, for sure. There's still hope for Shadow Esports and, for Indonesia. I mean, definitely something to be said about this team and their way to at least get deep into games. Like, they're relying a bit on placement points. That's good enough to at least get you into that grand finals. Potentially, we'll have to wait and see. I want to talk about Navi just a little bit more because I think this is a map where they often can really start to rack in the kills. We've seen it in the past with Hakatori, and especially where he'll drop like 9-10 kills on this map, go absolutely crazy here. So definitely going to be one of those teams on this one that I am keen to see pop off.
Weird circle into the plane path as it is going to bounce pretty far down into the southwest away from it. So that means that T1's going to be in a pretty decent position. Petrichor Road is one of these squads that we're kind of thinking about is Petrichor Road. They're going to have an odd rotate into this one. It's also another squad that, I mean, since Akeslift has always been kind of a face for it, a lot of people are very focused in on what's going on with Petrichor Road. And so let's go ahead and hear with Ming Ming what's happening.
这张地图我最喜欢还是4层嘛，然后因为它地方城大，收的东西物资也很多嘛，然后也很肥，然后转移路线什么，我感觉也都挺好走的。你可能就像教练说的吧，然后周围其实没有什么很多人嘛，周围可能就我们的一座主城。
Quick, easy, efficient. Petrichor Road. Pull that into your game a little bit more. Quick, easy, efficient. Find some stuff, man.
That's all I play for. I just want easy and efficient. That's what I'm all about. So I'm glad to hear that. You know, one of our all-time great players in Ming Ming definitely knows what's up and definitely keeps it simple, and that's my kind of gameplay. So they start out in Impala here, but the circle went west. More Monte Nuevo. Okay.
I got a hard question for you.
Okay.
Is it good for Petrichor that they're tied up with Anyone's Legend right now, or is it bad for Anyone's Legend that they're tied for Petrichor Road?
I think their power levels aren't too far off in a lot of ways. I think it's
really
well.
Really?
Here's
okay,
the way I'll say.
Look at me, Asia Paper Thin, and say that sentence to me again. That you think that Petrichor Road and Anyone's Legend are comparable.
Hear me out. I think AGAL probably has a little bit more firepower, but I think the brains.
With Udemy, there's a world of possibility at your fingertips. With one click, you're in the leading online marketplace for learning and skills. Want to become an AI expert? This is learning from real-world experts around the globe. Want to awaken your artistic side? This is learning your way. Want to switch professions? Help your team reskill? This is Udemy, the power of possibilities.
You know, when we were doing the pre-show segment with Lace, I was like, I think both of these teams have a lot to prove here today, and for various different reasons. And they're very good. You know, each team has a superstar fragger with Ming Ming on Petrichor Road and Himas on AGAL, two players who can take over a lobby when they're feeling it. It's just we haven't quite seen that big pop-off from either of them yet.
How stylish is it? Of course, it's Levante in the Golden Mirage.
He just looks great.
He's just flexing on everybody.
Yeah, it's a natural fit for the man. I think we should find a way to get him a gold car in real life, yeah?
Okay, we're going to have Vicious in the center of the circle. Gen.G is December 12th, also kind of getting over there. The area east of Monte Nuevo is getting a lot of the attention in the rotates right now. A little bit further east of where we can see Vicious going is going to be 17. North of that, T1, Falcons, a little bit of Vitality over there as well. Coming out of Picado to the north of it is going to be Supers. To the south is going to be NAVI. But VP's making a wrap right in between NAVI and Gen.G right along the road.
Ooh, that was a good grenade there. Did 40 damage to E-End, so the Falcons trying to put some pressure onto T1, but this is the strong side of T1. They're in a 1-3 split with Reigning quite far ahead of the rest of them, and Falcons is just committing to this. Shrimzy leading the charge with the M249. The grenades are going to splash out, but they're not hitting the Falcons, so far, T1.
I'm scared. It's Heather on the side of all players for Falcons to be going against right after that last round. Heather, though, not finding the opportunities they got inside that last game just quite yet. In some trouble, and their couple of shots going to connect and not going to get the knock. Seeing if maybe a repeat was going to happen, doesn't find it. Nade's going to be prepped up. They're a bit clustered, so it looks like they're trying to get some space away. Shrimzy is going to get the knock on E-End with the molly.
I was just about to say, if that molly flipped into E-End, he's in trouble. Type trying to get in here to do something. Heather trying to hold the line, but now Falcons is kind of dug in. I mean, Type's got to get Tiggleton down, and he hasn't just yet.
See if he can find any more. Just a couple of taps from the bullets. Tig's doing a good job on juking away, but there's just too many T1 players on the outside. Tig's going to go down, so you've sacrificed Tig to get control of the building. Can you get anything else? Heather is now close range threat. Reigning and Type now regrouping.
Now Reigning had to drive back to try to relieve some of the pressure here. And so far, Falcons haven't been popped. Oh, what a bunch of shots from Heather. Gets up into the window, and Gustav had no idea he was there.
Man, Heather is just like Falcons Kryptonite right now. See if they can get enough timings on this one. This is very far to the north. No other squad's really capable of third-partying any of this, so T1 can just kind of take their time. Dancing around the outside of this, maybe Sharper could go for a wrap back around, but sounds like we have a C4 being prepped and ready to go. Runs around the outside, but it's going to be Type on the defense. Falcons out real early.
Like that C4 there because it forces Falcons out into the open where T1 has control. That's beautifully handled. And they could even potentially get a revive. There is that station that's just to the north of this that they could go for. We do have Vitality, who eventually made their way over here, but if they were looking to try to third-party this fight, they are a little bit too late. They will at least be able to take the space for all the trouble that T1 just went through. And Falcons as well, out early again, a tough go of it. Oh, no.
Yeah, right as soon as we saw him walking over. Okay, whose fault is that? The person driving the car, I'm assuming?
I mean, we were just bigging up Levante in his cool car, and then he does that.
I mean, look, when you're vibing and you're just kind of like rolling around, yeah, you know, sometimes.
Maybe he's hating.
Yeah, just a little bit. Oh, we see me rolling. Hating. Okay. Showing age here as Petrichor Road is going to be wrapping down to the south. Full Sense is going to have the upper area of Chumacera under control, but nobody else really holding down Chumacera. Monte Nuevo is going to be Tai Lu, and then it's going to be Brickyard for AGAL. Most of the other squads kind of a bit spattered across the hillside.
I'm very curious about Shadow Esports way up on the north, doing a very wide wrap, but that's off map, and that's kind of like them playing for Circle 2, you know, trying to get a pre-rotation in potentially. You know, 17 and kind of a normal split in the center. They're going pretty wide. Most teams are. The Supers as well, split along the Picado Mountains on the south edge of the power grid. Meanwhile, Petrichor Road trying to get in their cars a little bit earlier, see what's available around the edge of Chumacera and potentially a little bit further forward.
So we have two different ways that we can kind of see this going. Well, really three. If we pull back over to power grid, that's going to favor Vitality, T1, Supers in their positioning. Go more of that Chumacera staying center area. Really, that's going to make the power grid players a bit sadder as they're going to have to come down from the hillside. And we go power grid, so that means that this is what I was afraid of. Look down into the southwest. All those squads are now going to be wrapping into a more open area of that power grid hillside to the west. I mean, sure, there's those couple of trenches, or you have to commit back in the lower sections around Picado Graveyard. This is really weird because we've got that giant hillside that comes south from San Martin leading into Picado.
Yeah, this is a tough circle because, like you're talking about, Matt, that area in between Monte Nuevo and Picado, you want to take space early, take compounds early, because if it ends in there, like you were mentioning, that it becomes really difficult if you don't have a compound to fight through that part of the map. But now there's a lot of mountain in place, so there's actually quite a bit that teams have to work with. Ukarux is getting tagged up just a little bit by NAVI from range. This has opened up an opportunity for JD Gaming to keep on keeping on. There were some helicopters up in the air, some emergency pickups being thrown into the mix, but maybe AGAL the only one who's going to commit.
17 heading back home to Picado after being gone for all of a circle. Other side of Picado, it looks like Gen.G is going to be trying to take that to the south. Full Sense is going to be ramping it back behind Petrichor Road as well as NAVI. AGAL with their emergency pickup could be going literally anywhere. Shadow still nowhere near the circle. They're going to be coming on the other side of Monte Nuevo, as it is going to be Vicious going for more of an approach onto that lower hillside coming out of power grid to the west, as well as Tai Lu taking control over that just a bit before them.
I want to talk about where Sharper is right now in relation to kind of the circle and how much control they have. I mean, they have everything from San Martin all the way down to halfway into this phase 2 circle. That is a huge amount of space they've given themselves. They're very spread out though, so there is opportunity maybe for a wide wrapping team to punish them, but if nobody does, I would expect that Sharper is going to get pretty darn deep into this game potentially and look to, you know, do some real damage here, but we'll have to wait and see. T1 does end up getting back up to their full strength. Now, they did have a knock on the outside of the power grid area there, and there's that emergency pickup. So this is, where does AGAL go? This is what I'm looking at. Sharper, if they can keep AGAL from getting in the middle of everything and causing problems, should be A-okay, and that's damage done.
Oh, is it enough to get the knock? They do manage to make landfall. So Crash into a great position right above Gen.G on one side. Well, I say a great position. It's at least a safe position now, and it gets them away from all of those crazy wraps that they wanted to do. I mean, is this just the solution? Anyone's Legend, their rotates have just been detrimental. Let's just call it honestly, every single game. So maybe emergency pickup, just crash somewhere and get control over it and just start fighting your way out of that.
As you can see, AGAL recognizing that their eastern edge is dangerous, so they have to put up those smokes so they can try and find a way to not fall underneath Sharper's grasp. You know, they're worried about players getting into grenade range there. Jedi looking to see if he can get anything, but right now AGAL going to use those rocks nicely. The problem is staying on that edge of the rocks can be a little bit tricky. You can find some holes to hide in for sure as AGAL.
Okay, more power grid, more problems for everybody on the outside. Specifically, if you're south of Bacado, it sucks to be you. VP, they're going to be on approach. Looks like they're going to be leaning into the VC side of all of this. Navi is just going to be the other side of that. Full sense tail in. Petrichor Road just full on send as JDG airborne for the time being. And good old Shadow going to be back behind it all. Looks like VP is going to go for a more northern wrap, try to bounce around the western section of what's going to be going on with VC. And I don't necessarily fault that. Gen.G looks like they're mirroring it over into the east.
JDG is losing players in the air. I'm pretty sure that Levante got the kill as they were parachuting in. Yeah, indeed. So that is a rough go of it for them. They're trying to just find something inside of the circle. Now there's a few dips and dives on the outside of the power grid that you can take, but Navi is crashing right into them.
Oh, rolls right into the face. Suze doesn't get the knock, but Hakatori, a boost stick will. That was just an aggressive play coming up from Navi. They lost Fairest for it, but that was a power play.
Yep, that's kind of maybe what you needed here as Navi to start getting a little bit of wind behind your sails for this match, for this day. Here comes some mortars. They're not even going to land on screen, hitting behind all of this. VP is making the wide wrap around to the north side. T1 still dug into the firehouse on the north side of power grid. They haven't moved a muscle since they won that fight against Falcons. Meanwhile, I really like this from VP. They had two options there. They could have gone for the emergency pickup. I think if the circle had gone east, maybe they had done that. Instead, they want to go north because they realize that there's going to be some open space up there that they could rotate into.
Well, we were talking about VP as well as Gen.G going for that more northern wrap. They are going to be right next to each other now as Gen.G is going to stop off, get some vision of VP right in front of them, with Vicious going more north to get away from the firing lines that were happening down to the south. That's going to get even dicier as there is nowhere for Shadow to go, and they're going to be bumping into Full Sense down in the south. This is the test for me with Shadow. This is a circle that is very hard to deal with. If they can find points and a way to get into it, this might be proving that they deserve to qualify.
They're at least able to punch back here. Jexi did take down Tanadol. So, you know, for Shadow, kind of a tough couple circles where they were trying to make some, you know, later rotations to see if they could catch a hard shift. Instead, it hard shifted away from them. So now they have to do a little bit of fighting. But again, good news is you at least made Full Sense pay the price. He took one away. And Full Sense does have one player in the circle. Tigger is there. Let's take a look at how this happened maybe. There's the crash from Navi. I mean, just out of the cars and a lot of dead players from JD Gaming on the ground. And you're right, Fairest actually falls to Tai Lu there. But overall, just a clean drive-by.
It gives them center of the circle in a great position on the outskirts of power grid to work with pretty much whatever they want. Here's Shadow continuing their roam into the circle. They did manage to get away from Full Sense, but can they survive the new set of threats that are going to be around them? Petrichor Road coming up a very close range back behind all of it is power grid yet again, being the focal point, and Vitality just loving every moment of it.
Oh man, maybe we get a little power grid finish. We get a little death match going there. In the end, that would be rather fun. I think, let's see, VC circling the wagons, looking for an opportunity, but really they don't have a ton. They've got a little bit of safety at the bottom of the hill, and Tycon up in the top in a shack. Not ideal. You got to kind of play a little bit of defense around the backside to make sure that, you know, you can't jam enough players in there. Really, one is only going to be safe.
I mean, the way that this is set, we've got some very big rotates that we're going to be looking at. 17's got to force their way into the circle, and that's going to be kind of close to the supers. I don't think that they can really avoid that. AGAL has to force their way in a much more open section of the circle over into the east, where Sharper has been holding them back for quite a while. And then down into the southwest, we've got Shadow, we've got Tai Lu and Petrichor Road. Yes, there's a couple ridgeline sneaky areas that they can play, but it's also a lot dicier because they could be in much closer range and a bigger firefight and nade range, most notably, than I think any of these teams want to be.
17 might actually find the northernmost warehouse.
Well, they're running right into Sharper.
Oh, they're going right into Sharper. Sharper gonna have an opportunity here. AGAL might have some vision into 17, who's trying to figure out anything that's safe. Meanwhile, Pau just gonna make his own safety, digging a little bit of a foxhole there.
Okay, well, 17 makes their wrap. Petrichor Road also managed to get very close to Powell, so maybe that digging could be important for him in just one moment. Shots now starting to come out on the 17 on all of their approach over there. Gen.G is also going to be the new target of 17 in their wrap. Petrichor Road at least finding some safety, and here we go. We've got 17 now stacked up. Gen.G going to be right in front of them. They did at least manage to bypass Sharper as well as anyone's legend, but Gen.G where are you going to play from this one? They've got to be careful. They don't want to overpeak because it's going to be T1 with supervision of this.
Yeah, those are good shots, though, by Soul. He did more damage than he took there, so he's at least able to afford himself the opportunity to move his car back just a little bit while 17 has to regroup. Knew he was in grenade range, so wanted to try to get out of that as best as he could. Get a better firing line from the rest of his team. Meanwhile, VP cutting in towards Full Sense. Full Sense trying to dive into the power grid proper. Nixie running out of bullets there. Might have popped a tire, but Full Sense at least gets to the fences.
Where we started with Falcons' death is where everybody seems like they're focused on getting to. Full Sense does find a nice little position to play for now. VP is going to now have control over everything into the west. Tyloo still got to get into the circle, and it's going to be Shadow. Actually, Henzi he's gotten all the way into power grid by himself. The other players for Shadow are right on top of Tyloo, and it looks like they're just full on stealth as Tyloo's literally driving over them right now.
I mean, I wouldn't think that would be possible, but it is. I mean, they've done it, and Gen.G actually finds another kill there. Type knows that Full Sense is out there. Gen.G gets two, one with the barrel, one with the Mark 12. Looking to see if he can finish this off. Tyloo getting absolutely shredded. Another angle is found there. It's actually Beamy from VP who gets that. A grenade almost finishing off a player of Petrichor.
Circle's popped. We're keeping in most of power grid, but we're going to move into the more open sections of the south and the hillsides into the east. Petrichor Road still has to vault over what's going on with Supers as well as Vicious in front of them. Luckily, Tyloo falling off to one side has denied out a competitor onto one angle of approach. But I don't know how Petrichor Road can fight their way into this. There's just too many squads around them holding too many angles. Ooh. If they fight their way into the north, they're going to have Ewan back behind them. If they try to go east, it's just going to be VC holding them out.
Yeah, Rex is driving way on the southern edge of this right now. DL was watching from the high ground, giving a little bit of just couldn't quite get there in time. Yeah, so he's going to go down, and Human trying to do what he can here, but now the Supers are at a man disadvantage compared to Petrichor Road. Grenade not going to do much there to our IGL, and he looks over towards Chewy. Can't do much. It's actually VC putting him down.
Okay, Bob saying head needs to start popping some heads as it's just him and what angle of approach you go for. VP with nowhere to go, they're going to run back down into the Shadow defensive line. Good shot's going to find or on at least one knock off the start onto Lucarux, but you can see VP already has the information. They know exactly where they need to focus their targets, and Nades already running right down on top. Gen.G doesn't get the knock, but running in is going to be Kamal's right into the face of VP, not finding the angles yet, at least getting some damage though.
Oh, actually, I think Hansi is getting some damage into the backside of Virtus Pro here, who are trying to fight tooth and nail. This has kind of turned into a tricky situation for VP. Looked like maybe they could have taken a favorable fight, but Shadow, little do they know, had an extra player already up towards the power grid proper. Gen.G going to confirm the point and use these blue zones to scooch ever so much closer into the threat range. There is a res that happens for Virtus Pro.
Okay, also Vitality has some angles of vision what's happening over here. Nixie, though, just shuts down Kamal's. Nothing to be had there. VP on a rampage trying to push their way forward. Gen.G taking a lot of damage. He's going to go down. That leaves just one up for Shadow right on the edge of the zone, but VP still needs to get in the circle. They've got VC in front of them, and they're trying to avoid the Vitality firing line.
Look how weak Beamy is. I mean, he's 1 HP here, so anything that hits him is going to put him on the ground and basically put him out of the game with the circle that close to them. Meanwhile, somehow the Supers have kept themselves going, took Petrichor Road out of this. They only get a couple kills out of it, but still in the game. Maybe can get into placement points if they can find some level of safety there on that eastern side. And there's that shot connecting into Beamy. He's down. Nixie in trouble as well. Tycon springs from the shack, instantly deletes Corexy, and Nixie just going to go out.
VP gonna fall. VC just too defended in their position. They were having to hold down this for so long just due to the way the Supers were playing this. Supers are just sitting at center of the circle. Well, no, maybe let's just go all the way to the north of the circle. So let's make it full on Korea over here as it's gonna be T1, Gen.G, and now Supers all right on top of each other.
All right, I mean, T1 is now gonna finally have to make a move. The circle has kind of kept that compound in for some time, so they're making some fortifications that they can, but these are outside of the new zone. There is a little bit of ability to potentially go into that northernmost warehouse where I think the Supers are going to go right now, so they're going to be beat to the punch there just a little bit. AGAL on foot, looking to maybe do some damage on the edge. Clear 17 out before they have to make another move, but they still have Sharper, danger close, and there you go. Getting some shots towards them as they try to cross.
Soul might also get some vision if they're not careful. So The foot push has got to be aggro and it's got to be fast. Pimas can get into this angle. I think that he's spotted out. Does he know exactly how much he could get? But 17 moves quick. Looks like maybe Zhao Wu spotted it. Quick counter move, and Seoul is going to be able to get the knock onto Heather. That's going to start the catalyst of things happening into the north, as a couple of shots are going to be enough. 17 now moving closer to Gen.G on one side of it. Tian just walks right up in the face, gets the knock onto Seoul, but it's getting dicey over here. He gets counter knocked by Bean.
All right, Bean at 5 HP takes down 2, the barrel, but he's going to get backstabbed by EN.D trying to hold T1 back to save his team, but he's the only one alive. He's in the blue, and he's in trouble. 17 ends up getting taken down by Destroy's grenade. D just trying to throw everything he can at this, but it's not going to happen.
AGAL wanted a piece of that and couldn't really get it. Delwyn still having to hold back Sharper, and T1 just dominant position over in the north. 8 kills already, and they're starting to stack them all together. Anyone's Legend doesn't really want to approach on that angle anymore. Instead, use the hillsides. They're starting to focus more down onto Sharper in the defensive positions that they're playing, while the Supers, who were all the way up next to T1, use the Vincere to come all the way down and get into a great position, center of the circle.
I mean, if T1 doesn't lose any players here and they can keep those vehicles relatively healthy, they're going to have a lot of outs potentially to get outside of that warehouse and lock it down if it does a hard shift to the west again. AGAL swinging back down towards Sharper now, looking to take more fights, looking to rake in more kills. They've only gotten 1 here for being so fighting so heavily out on this edge for so long. That's not much considering the caliber of this team, and Tanawat putting him back down, and he's getting shot from a bunch of different angles. It's EN who gets the knock.
A lot of squads that need big games since they played yesterday and couldn't really find anything. Going to be in good positions for the circle. Anyone's Legend, though, just getting picked apart. Too many different angles, and it's going to be Sharper finding everything. What do you even do off of this? Now Sololzy looking at T1. Type's got control over the warehouse. Sure, we still have Shadow up and Handsy looking at everything, but Vitality's got such a great position in the circle as well. It just feels like Sharper's got all of the East on lock, and there's nowhere for Sololzy to go.
I'm loving the way Sharper's been playing this game for the most part. They know Sololzy's on his own. EN wants to finish what they started. Don't want to let him go over to the blue, and not going to happen. Heather's grenade is going to do it. 10 kills for T1 in this game so far. EN immediately has to prone down. Here comes the grenade barrage from NAVI. Knew that VC was going to be getting close. The follow-up, still not going to find any knocks. Good movement there to avoid much damage.
T1 active, really quickly running into the face of Sharper, realizing the way that this circle's spot they want to go for. But Denawat's going to defend. Ian's going to go down. Hakatori's got eyes onto VC, trying to get control of the southern area, while it's going to be Navi trying to keep control over everything in the center. We also have movement happening for Vitality, going to be keeping eyes on what's going to be going on with Supers. All of this just stacking on top of each other, while VC finding an angle of approach.
Yeah, this fight, though, for Navi's position, one of the most important in this circle. Supers are going to go down to Vitality. Tanawat getting over there, raining down with Earth. And all of a sudden, Sharper continuing to thrive. T1, a nice game in the kill department, able to get decently deep into it. But Sharper has put themselves into a spot where they can continue to cut through some of these other teams. Navi, 3 players strong, holding against VC so far.
How long can Shadow solo survive, and how much can Vitality get here? The solo is going to be creeping up in the warehouses around Power Grid, while Vitality just wants to make sure nothing's going on over into the north. Sure, Navi's got control over the circle itself, but really it's going to be Vitality and point totals that we're going to be keeping an eye on. As, yeah, Handsy, I think they know where he is. Picks around the side, and that's going to be all she wrote for Shadow. At least managed to make it into placements. Very decent, but here's our top 4.
Sound cues gave that away. I could see Hello My Bad tracking him with his arrow from the map, so he knew and heard him. So Handsy not able to keep himself obscured long enough from Vitality's detection to get any further into this one. Decent salvage game, again, up to 50 points here for Shadow Esports, so they very much could be in that grand finals. They're on pace to get there. They get 6 points in this game, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, and that's plenty to continue to have the point pace you need to find yourself playing in the last 3 days here at EWC 26 and PUBG Battlegrounds. Tanawat takes down Hakatori. This team is on fire right now.
Yeah, Hakatori going down is going to make the defense of the center so much more complicated, but Boostik's still up. He's in a vulnerable spot. He goes for the peek onto it. Sharper going to be trying to put the damage in. That unlocks VC to counter-wrap to the south of this. Navi's position that they were playing from was so strong, but VC's got a man advantage on position, and this has also drawn all the attention down to the south and allowed Vitality to get out of Power Grid.
Tycon here looking to take Spyro down, but it's Tanawat's blue zone. that is going to find it. Tycon looking to steal the point. Clicked on the head once, just needs a couple more bullets to land there, but there's pressure from Vitality. Navi gone. Tycon doing some heavy lifting there in front. Sharper needs to recover.
And it's Levante that got the angle onto them. So we're looking at this hillside, an approach to the north from Sharper, down to the south. It's going to be VC and Vitality that wanted to go for the center. Maybe balled off a little bit too much. They're going to retreat, try to get Gadrox back up, as it looks like it is going to be a 4v4v3 in this all-out.
This is a key game for Vitality.
Yeah.
Getting deep, getting some kills. If they can get the win, they're going to be feeling a lot more comfortable about that grand finals positioning. But Sharper, VC have something to say about it. VC's looked really good to me, taking some really nice fights, being really disciplined with holding their line, not giving up some of that space. You know, their spacing's been really good. That's the biggest thing here for VC. They're not opening themselves up to some opportunities to get just, you know, fragged out, shot down. They're being really proactive.
Saw Quizzy with a mask on, and we also saw him in between rounds with that mask, seeming like he doesn't feel the best right now. Getting a good game here is going to make it a lot easier whenever you're feeling sick. So hella my bad with eyes on to Earth's positioning. VC, though, just using the standoff in the north to take more control over everything. Tycon going to be the guy leading the way. Sharper one side, looks like they're making the focus onto Vitality. Vitality doesn't have much to play in the circle, just the outer walls, and Tycon is going to be corralling him in. He does get the knock onto Levante, and that is a big knock onto Vitality. Sharper looks like they've got a good lock on position, and hell, my bad, now also under duress.
Great read here from Sharper, knowing that there wasn't going to be much of an opportunity for VC to swing the other way through, but Tanawat, he's going right into the mix. Tycon finds Gedrox, one player left. Tanawat couldn't quite see him. He tries to go pro. You're out in the open. Hello, my bad. Going to get one before he's taken down. Quizzy gone. That is the end for Vitality.
Time to be vicious. 9 kills up on top. Sharper stacked on top of each other, and with the car push, they managed to get some kills, but they are now in a very vulnerable position. Earth just back up against the blue zone along with Jedi, as it is VC with control over the center, and they realize this ain't gonna work. They're gonna surrender over the blue zone, and that is Vicious Esports with a victory.
Yeah, again, really good spacing in a lot of those fights, and they play that game really, really nicely. That early setup they had, I really liked, where they had Tycon up in the shack and 3 players down below him to guard it, because that's a really tricky position to defend if somebody gets underneath that shack. So really like their setup and the way they're able to use that to catapult themselves into the late game.
But it's the big game for Vitality. They need more still. They want to qualify. We love Levante and that crew, and this was such a late game performance coming up from them. Shadow also making it into, what, 5th place overall after what was a little bit of a dicier start on everything. They understand what the win conditions are for them to succeed in here, but can they keep it up with 3 more games on the day?
It's a great question. I'm very impressed that they just kind of keep chugging along. You know, they're the little engine that could here at EWC, and seems like they may be able to get to that finish line, at least to go into the grand finals. But also Sharper, again, I talked about it in the very beginning of this game, around phase 2, where they had complete control over that northern edge of the circle. And that's the reason one of the reasons they're into this game later as it goes, because they have so much space to maneuver. Even when it hard shifts away from them, they still have so much control that they have, you know, the ability to recover from those ping-ponging circles and things like that. And they do precisely that. Like, they're playing out in the open really, really well.
And again, a lot of my focus today has just been on Group A. Where do they end the day point total-wise? Because they aren't going to be playing tomorrow. So whenever we have some squads like Sharper that are popping off, the focus for me is just how do the squads around them and Vitality find any form of successes, as they're just going to be having to sit and wait and watch tomorrow. Oh, that is just so nerve-wracking to have to do. This is absolutely ridiculous, but we're going to go ahead and try to get game number 4 all set up. We'll be back in just one moment.
We book Esports World Cup up.
They're demons! They have crushed the curse!
Oh,
Hello, we are here for the Sony Media Tour at the backstage of the Esports World Cup 2026. So let's take a look at everything that's going on, as we have got some of our players already getting their hero shots done as well. As you can see here, made in Thailand, 2 times BGS champions. Look at the size of that tripod. Whoa! For such a small phone. Size does matter. All right, let's take a look a little bit further on. Kiss, what a legend, what a legend. Maybe we'll chat to him a little later on. Let's move on further down, of course, though, as we've got a lot more other stuff going on. I can see Team Liquid in the distance here, getting all of their media sorted. We're getting a lot of introductions into how all these players are setting up, how their feeling is for the tournament as a whole, of course. And you can see they're getting mic'd up as well. They're going to be talking about some stuff. A very different setup here for Esports World Cup 2026, as you can see. Another lovely stage. And over to my right-hand side as well. Actually, I could even sign this myself. This is for all of the players to sign as they do come along. But right next to, don't know who that is. I'll just put myself right there. The real goat of esports. So we can now make a little bit of a move on into the quiet zone. Come in. All right. Whoa. Spooky. All right, as you can see, as is signified over here by the quiet zone. Pay close attention, because we're going to be on a little bit of a trip, an excursion through the quiet zone to see exactly what is going on. A wild Avenger. A wild kiss. Exactly. Right, let's take a look at what's going on in here as well. As you can see, oh, sorry. You can see Parasaurus over there is getting ready to do something. He's about to say something incredibly stupid, but maybe, just maybe, we'll get a glimpse of it later on. All right, let's take a look at what's going on in here as well, in the quiet zone, and peek in. As, hey, we've got Avenger there, and we also have Virtus Pro, Beamy and Lookrooks, being briefed, apparently, on what they need to do here. All right, more here in the media area, as we do have ourselves, hey, the Falcons boys! We got Shrimzy and Kickstart. How are you doing, man?
Sir, I'm doing fantastic, and you?
Not too bad.
Feeling great.
Awesome. I love the pajamas. They're awesome. All right, let's get these boys in here. We're going to film a little bit of media with these guys as well, as we're going to have them guess some of the plays from previous tournaments. Anyway, that does it here for the media tour as a whole. So I'm going to get on with the Falcons boys, and we'll see you next time. All right, guys, it's going to be the quiet. All right, let's try that again. Absolutely not. Absolutely. One more opportunity to see players in their natural habitat. Nothing. Spectacular scenes here at the Esports World Cup.
Welcome back, as we have decided to just go and explore Paris a little bit more. We find ourselves on the rooftop of Novotel. Shout out to them for actually letting us use this spot, because it's amazing. But as we have hit the halfway point of PUBG Battlegrounds at EWC 26 group stages, honestly, we got to recap a little bit what's been going on. We just saw the Vicious being able to get a chicken dinner. But if we go back to day one, I mean, that storyline was just straight up myth.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what we're doing, if we're saying let's take that halftime, let's look at where we're sitting in the tournament right now. Myth and particularly Twisted Minds we can get to. These two are insane, but Myth, 3 wins on one day is unheard of, and the fact that they could come back and do it again tomorrow, let me say, every legend starts with Myth, and these guys are close to taking that title for themselves. Name change in the future, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they sort of started out after match 5 at like about a 7.2 elim average, which is not, it's not bad, okay? That is exceptional. But before that, they're actually on a 5.5, and that was because of the several chicken dinners that they have, and that amazing match 6 where they got like 5 eliminations and that win. And I mean, that's exactly why this team is bringing it home.
They are going to be bringing it home. And the scary part, if you're a Myth fan too, or if you're just scared of Myth, that what they're performing, is that today they're getting a break. Yeah. Today they're getting a chance to see what everybody from Group C is going to be doing, and Myth is just looking at them like, all right, chill. Let me see what you guys got going on, because we're going to come in hot tomorrow.
And they got no stress. I mean, the fact of the matter is we've played 3 games so far, and Myth and Twisted Minds still haven't been caught by the 9-game teams, right? Like VP, yeah, they're having an okay catch-up time, but they still haven't closed the door on those 2. Like, it is crazy how far ahead Myth was at the end of yesterday.
Yeah, for some of the other teams, we talked about it earlier, but we need to touch base as we're kind of recapping everything here. Full Sense finally ends up showing up. They get a win today, but they need to start being more consistent, because now they're going to be going into their final 3 matches, and if that consistency is not there, tomorrow they're just going to be sitting down, watching the show list, just biting them nails.
Yeah, I mean, today is all for them, so they need to really do something there. I mean, it was a little surprising, I guess, from the first kind of group stages that we had, but, you know, they do know what's ahead of them and what they need to pick up on, and look, it's an okay job, I feel. Like, it needs to be a little bit more aggressive, I feel.
The problem is when you look at the leaderboard right now, you think, oh, maybe they're okay, maybe they're in 7th, but you got to remember they have 3 games up on 16 of our teams, and that is time that has to be made up somewhere. So for those teams, even Shadow, our defending world champions, everybody who's got those 9 games played, just because they look like they're in a good rank now doesn't mean it carries over, which is even more stress-laced, because that means they don't know what happens tomorrow. They have to put up, I would say, easily 12 to 15 points higher than they expect to make sure that they are still guaranteed the advance.
Could you just imagine playing this and then watching the games just from your hotel room going, no. Did we make it enough? Did we make it enough? I mean, it's crunch time right now, but yeah, I would not want to be in that position. They definitely need to amp it up.
If they have the Novotel view, honestly, it might not be that bad.
You're not wrong. Actually, I know teams who, when they're in that situation on the 3rd day, they'll just go to lunch, or they'll take a day at the zoo, or they'll do something like that. Their coach obviously is like watching the whole time to give them updates, but I've met teams who are like, you know what, we don't even look until the very end, and then let's enjoy our day. Let's not have that stress looming over us.
How about some of the other squads that have came in today? 17 Gaming. I mean, they've been putting up some points. We just saw what Team 1 was able to do in the last one, and they ended up eliminating Falcons early on as well.
Yeah, I was sort of touching on this. Like, we looked at match 2, and obviously Heather just being able to pop that grenade into their situation, and it looks like T1 is just clipping the Falcons' wins at the moment, because coming out of match 3, it was just an obliteration from them too.
I mean, they're from my region. I love the Falcons, boys, but this has been a very rough start. Now, I'm not going to write them off. How many times have we seen the Falcons sort of thrive up and go full phase Sunday, if you will, on that last performance day? So I'm not going to write them off yet, but it's been a very tough run for them. T1 looks so good to be as high up on the board as they are. 13th place with only 3 games played at 30 points. That's the same track line that we had Twisted Minds and Myth on yesterday. So these guys can feel very comfortable.
Another team that's in that same situation in regards to what we were talking about, being in that Group A, maybe not performing as well. AGAL. You got to remember, for AGAL, this squad, yes, you have been able to step it up a little bit, but it hasn't been to the point that we expected to, right? You're thinking about insane players that they have in that roster. Hey, Mass, we need to be able to see them being able to bring it up. So you know what? I think it's time. We want to continue talking on. We might stay here at the top of Novotel a little bit longer, but for now, I want to see what's going to be happening at the stage.
But Bosh, it is time, of course, as we have a few more games coming up here for the halftime. But we want to kind of touch on exactly what was going on really there. For the Vicious, I mean, you've got Tycon finally being able to step on up back on the international stage here, Match. I'm always good to see Tycon.
I mean, dude, you gotta love Tycon. I always have like mental images of that clutch that he managed to do where he got like, what is it, like 8, 9 kills, 10 kills by himself, and then clutched out the game. I got in trouble because I think I said some naughty words at the end of that cast, but I mean, it deserved. Tycon's that good of a player, so it's great to have him back in the forums.
Yeah, look, and especially you and I had casted Tycon, I think, in one of his first games, right? And we go back to those times we said, hey, this kid's going to be a superstar. Now I'm hoping he has the team behind him. And so far, the way they played that South Edge, the way that they kind of pushed Vitality out, they watched for the other team coming across, which of course was Sharper. and they were able to capitalize. And winning that game is going to be a huge boost of confidence for them as well.
To think the first time in Fantasy that we ever played, and Tycon was a sub on that during 10K. Do you remember?
He was the cheapest.
Didn't you also pick him up like super early and rub it in our faces?
I may have heard.
Sounds like something James would do. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've got my ear to the ground, as it were. But let's.
You're so low. You should. Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, because you're so much shorter than me, I'm going to enjoy this joke.
I don't know if I should be speaking.
Let's talk about some of those teams that are on the bubble here for this one. Of course, as you've got teams like Tyloo, AGAL, and Petrichor Road all really needing to step up. It does feel like Tyloo's probably done here, though.
I think Tyloo is done, unfortunately. I mean, even if they have an incredible last 3 games, they're still going to be behind by a full 6 games of the other group coming back in. On top of that, I haven't seen anything from them that makes me think they're going to do it.
Final thoughts?
Same. I mean, Tyloo's just not getting there. Petrichor Road finds something. Anyone's legend, pull a trigger, man.
Yeah.
Please,
They're
AGL, I'm begging you.
Just shoot.
They're
That's
the
all we
kind
want.
of team that can have 30-point games in the past. We've seen it before. It's time to head on over to the commentators here for game number 4 of day 2.
Hello, friends. It is I, Porosaurus, joining Mr. Avenger on the cast for these final 3 games of Groups A versus C, and it is last chance saloon for those teams in Group A that may need to make that cut line, which is looking very, very difficult for some of these squads.
Yeah, the fact is, I think we're going to be sending 2 or 3 teams home, and they're going to be having no chance, even being outside that top 6 team. The bottom 8, of course, are going to have their dreams crushed in our crusher. But yeah, 3 more games to go here for them. And we're going to be kicking it off on Rondo, Paul. What's your thoughts on this?
Never would buy a condo there.
Okay, too much violence there? Or
Too much violence, too loud.
Right.
I got a dog, he's just
I need sleep.
Barking all the time. But, not a great map to want to start on if you really need to make a push to get some things going here, especially if you're looking at what we were talking about Tyloo. We were talking about some of the other Group A teams that we've got our eyes on here.
Virtus.pro's not playing more of these 3s next one here. Tyloo, AGAL, Team Vitality, Supers, Full Sense, Petrichor Road, and Shadow has their last 3 maps we played here at Esports World Cup 2026 in Paris. And honestly, on Rondo here, back over to Tego, and then on Erangel, finishing things up. We were talking about the hypothetical cutoff line yesterday, Paro.
Yes.
I said 55-60. I think 55 is going to be plenty safe, considering how much points the top have taken. It took Virtus.pro 3 more games to catch up, and they have now tied Twisted Minds on that 69 points. Nice.
Yep, nice. Virtus.pro has been having a bang-up day, for sure, as has Vitality. As has, who else has had a good day? T1. T1 has been popping off today. 30 points on the day so far. But, I mean, still work left to be done, obviously. But with 3 more maps to go, I think those guys could be feeling a little bit more confident.
Yeah, we're giving a little bit of a hard time to Falcons here. But the fact is, there is 6 teams below them that have had worse performance. That is Gen.G, it's NAVI, and it's AGL. But let's hear what Tyloo has to say.
船厂的仓库物资比较丰富，然后转移的路线会比较偏多一点。
Well, there you go.
Yeah. It's a short interview, and it's also been a short pleasure of them today. Unfortunately, 1 point in 3 games. 19 points yesterday. They're on 20. Currently very, very far down the leaderboard. It's going to be a little bit rough for them. Sure, there are some other teams that have obviously only played 3 games so far. NAVI, Gen.G, AGL, Petrichor Road, and JDG have also a very low amount of points today here. 12, 12, 10. It's somewhat low after 3 games, but then again, we've seen it before, Paul. We have seen these chicken dinners with double digits, and it can definitely be happening for JDD here with a Jiaotin home turf circle for them. They've only had 7 points so far today. This is their game. This is their chance to turn that around.
Yeah, this is, we were having discussions in the green room prior to the game and talking about teams like Tyloo. China as a region have delivered some very impressive performances this year so far. The switch to TPP obviously working out really nice for Petrichor Road for 4 a.m. But it feels like that region is getting very top heavy. And once you get past, Petrichor 4 a.m. 17, it starts getting a little loosey-goosey down there as to how much success you're going to see from them at an international level.
Yeah, and 17 Gaming has had uncontested spots most of the time throughout the day here. They only have 2 more points than Falcons. They've not had the best of games so far, and they have fantastic loot spots. For this circle here, they have a pretty easy entry towards that central stadium area here. JDG's always getting ready, and they're already taking some of the best spots right now, looking to see if that gas station is free already. AGL coming in from that northward side over to Bailey. They're going to have quite the space here, and considering how far northwest this circle is, Poro, I'm really wondering how many teams are going to try to backfill it. You know, we have Falcons in the north, sure, they're going to come in from that, but how many teams are going to try to swing around?
You typically see this on stadium circles like this, where everybody immediately tries to send. You see such a cluster towards the center because those positions of power, those strong positions, are so at such a premium that these teams are willing to make those high risk, high reward sends right towards the dead center early because they're so convinced that it is going to end up paying off for them. So we'll see now that we're getting a little bit later in. It's 4.5 minutes. That's late at this point in a circle like this, but so many teams still outside, still fighting their way in. It's going to be interesting to see how many try to go and still send towards that center, or who will just kind of play around the fringes.
Yeah, about half these teams already looking at how can we get into this circle, try to get some of the priority here. And also, let's break it to you guys. Rondo in general, especially for land ratio, this area has so much unplayable terrain that is counted in land ratio. It has water, it has these high ground, it has these pillars. Now with this, that we don't have land ratio, we're going to have some wild circles. We could be ending on straight next to the rocks on stadium. It's going to be really interesting to see how the teams apply the strategies that has changed just since this meta has just updated just a month ago.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to keep an eye on as we see the stadium already starting to get a little bit compacted here. Mr. Guman all by himself as Vitality is arriving. The rest of the supers nowhere near here, so Guman
leaving.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah,
be pretty quick on the trigger there, and trying to get out. And he's just going to go ahead and rejoin Mr. Rex.
That's an alpha move, to be honest. You just 4-man roll up into stadium, assuming that the team that's looting there is already split out to some of these compounds on other priorities that we have here. T1 rolling in, try to get topped around. That actually works. So. Someone's going to be able to take that later on. And he leaves it. He doesn't want it. You want the electric bus. You want the Dacia. You want to get that rolling.
I'm not creeping up on anybody anytime soon, right? Well, this is actually kind of surprising to me that this compound in particular is just completely wide open. Whoa! You do see, there you go, Winbo.
Nice
shots there to start things off. But yeah, 17 just kind of coming in a little bit on the later side, but are, again, as we were talking about earlier, sending it really close towards center, not playing around on the periphery because they know the likelihood is that this area is going to be in now, and you want to get something hard cover that you can play. You don't want to be forced into playing any open areas this early.
Yeah, I actually thought Suse from JDG is going to take that gas station, but yeah, 17 just rolling in aggressively, taking that. We've seen so many endings close to that, and you know, the ridges just south of it, but that was because of land ratio. We had so much circles went away from that stadium area because you had all these pillars, all these high grounds around it, right? But here, that might change. We can see it go absolutely anywhere, and it's going to be amazing. We've seen some of these crazy circuits where it ended up closer to the river as well. Falcons is definitely hoping for Hardshift North. They're coming in somewhat late here, you know, 10th team or so to get in. They have no information what's ahead of them. They're going to be spending a lot of time gathering that information.
Oh no, not the time to go to a replay. Well, T1, it looks like it will scare Navi off, but Navi will be okay as we see 04MB just dying to nothing, but it looks like he was able to get rezzed once again. But T1 able to keep Navi at bay, so Navi will continue to roll around on that eastern side. They know that the door is now closed. Don't want to try to get any further into the circle. We'll just play here from that southeastern side. See Falcons, as you said, coming in from the north. But yeah, I mean, you keep bringing it up, and for good reason, right? Like the way teams are playing this right now is based off of old circle logic.
Yep.
And now that we have the new circle logic, those hard shifts could come into. It almost feels like an inevitability at this point that we're going to see it break away. Now, if it goes hard north, hard south, it's going to be interesting because they're so compacted on each other. So if they do end up having to move, it's either going to be you got to do it instantly and try to get out of there quickly, or you play it slow and just don't want to be the first one to get caught out.
Yeah, and you're kind of, you know, innovating as you go here. New positions are going to be a power priorities, and you're going to have these high grounds, you're going to have these area around the rivers and the floods.
Oh,
Look at that northern
my God,
shift.
there it is.
Oh my God, Falcons are laughing. They're loving this. This is their chance. You know what? I can give you the live commentary of the comps right now. It's going to be like, guys, we're fed. We need to win this.
Blessed. Hashtag blessed. Well, immediately you see them turn back around. They're going to go for whatever high ground they can find right there. You can see just off to their northwest are those pillars that they can play around. And it looks like Kickstart already in the glider kind of looking over in that area. But they're going to see a boatload of vehicles down to their south starting to head that way. So they need to make a decision quickly as Virtus Pro is going to run into Sharper. Sharper had a great game last round, and they're going to start off here by getting the knock on a Nixie.
Getting a big name down right there. He had 2,500 damage when he started today here. Sabalui gets it. Lukarux also has been found. Noxon confirms it coming through. VP, sure, they've already gone through. They're already in the final here, but they still want to get points. This is still the absolute best practice you can get if you're already qualified for the final.
Goodness gracious, once again, just a portable red zone of grenades being sent over here. The utility being such a major factor. And Sharper not scared to go ahead and send everything they have in the bag there to go ahead and secure those 2 points off of Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro, the rest of the team will go ahead and escape as now we see 17 running into supers. They've got Falcons just off to their north, and you can see Shadow just off to their east. So this is not a fight that I think either of these teams really want to invest too much time in. And yeah, there you go. Both of them are going to pull away immediately.
Smart. That's the way to go about it, right? You want to make sure you can stay alive as long as possible. Full Sense here going for an E pick
This
up
is
on the southern
interesting.
side. This is huge. We could see so many teams coming in and taking away these pillars from some of these teams that are on the lower ground, right? Kickstart, sure, he's in the glider, but if 4 guys land on the high ground pillar above Falcons here, that's going to put so much pressure onto them, actually. And we have the river in play, also doesn't matter with the land ratio, but these 3 or 4 really tall pillars around the compound where Falcons is, that's going to have quite the impact if Full Sense is able to grab 1 or 2 of them. And it looks like that's what they're going for right now.
I would if I was them, and they're going to actually, I mean, if they can get up there, they're going to have time to set up too, because we also have another E pickup that's coming from east to west, a little bit farther distance, but I mean, they're going right over the top of the same spot, right? So if Full Senses has the time to really sub, and now T1 has popped one as well, so multiple E pickups there. So Sharper, or Full Sense rather, could find themselves in a really good spot, but you see immediately upon landing, they're just going to have to drop down on their bellies as a number of teams already looking over in that direction.
Yeah, Falcons hunkering down this compound. This is quite a strong compound here. You have multiple sides of cover. You can be in the roofs. And it's really difficult to breach unless you breach from that northern area where the rocks is. Just this direction that Gustav is looking at. But they're fully aware that Full Sense is taking some of these northwest pillars. But we're going to have this next circle pop. Let's see where we go, Paro.
All right, we're going to get another hard shift. We will. Going to cut all the way over to the west. And that's going to leave a
look at all the
pretty big chunk of Bailey in. Where's Vicious going to go? Where's T1 going to go? Obviously, Full Sense has landed on top of that pillar. Right now, you see Falcons currently content and hanging in their compound. Why wouldn't they? As you see a number of teams trying to make their way past. It looks like they're going to be able to do it. Vicious not going to pop the chutes by the towers. Instead, they're going to continue going all the way over to Bailey.
I'll have to admit this. I've never seen such a northwestern circle, especially with the back-to-back hardships like this here. Look at that, all the fans here in Paris loving the games going on the Qiddiya city grid.
I need to get a beret, man.
Yeah? Red or blue?
I mean, honestly, the red one is looking pretty nice.
You have to go with the lipstick as well then. That's kind of crazy. But look at this, 17 being absolutely getting in here as T1 is flying in above them. Delvin finds 0-4 and B from Petrichor Road. Shots coming in. AGL, they need to have a good game. We have just 3 more to go.
Happening on the south side of the circle, you can see there's still 60 alive left in this game as there are a number of fights going on here. T1 have run into 17, and 17 proven to be a little bit more of a hassle to clean up than Falcons was for T1 last time. In fact, they will go down as T1 gets eliminated in 16th place. We'll see if 17 has the time to get those revives on before they get crashed.
T1's had a good day so far today, so they can afford one, but now look at this. Vicious also finding 17. Beamy finds JDG as well. So much fights happening here in the northern side. 17 Gaming's out of 15th place as well. Tycon is back to being him old self. 2022, 2023, Tycon is back.
Beautiful timing there by Vicious. They're able to get there before 17's able to do any type of reset whatsoever, so they'll pick up a couple of kills there as I-26 V6 will get the knock on a Rex. That's going to force Supers to pull back off, but they don't have time for this. Vitality is coming in, Petrichor Road is coming in, Tai Lu is sniffing over in that area as well as Falcons, also third party on this fight. So the entire south side all kind of playing a game of chicken right now to see who's going to commit to a fight so that the other ones can then third party on there.
So many sharks in water driving around, just being ready to pull up or drive by. Team Vitality here trying to maintain control of that eastern side just of this high ground road here. It's going to have quite the impact on DN Supers. Nice to see them driving around here. It's going to be a little bit difficult for Deal and Heaven.
Them back.
Yeah, they're going back south here. They're actually going to go straight towards AGL and Petrichor Road. And maybe Tai Lu on that southwest side here. Heaven popping some tires. It's going to be annoying for Vitality. Also a headshot coming his way. Damage is done. Difficult for Vitality to recoup. Hello, my bad if he's going to go down out here, but I think he's going to be fine. The blue zone is not taking more than 1 damage per second. Until we get to the next one, just 10 more seconds. We're going to go to triple that damage, so you need to get into that circle just now.
Super's one of our teams that's on the clock. 43 points overall right now. And only this game with 2 remaining. To try to make sure they're above that cut line as the circle will bless up just a little bit here. That's great news if you're Full Sense, as they still have 2 on that high ground, but they've sent Belmoth and Thanadol down low to kind of that as well. We'll see where Falcons decide to go and when they decide to go really is more the important question. You don't want to be the first one there, right?
Yeah, Full Sense also on the clock. 3 more games to go for them here, and that's exactly that. Need 10 more points so they could be safe, and they could definitely get it from this game here, or with having high ground control and also having all the eyes in the sky. Being on 2 pillars here is quite insane. Now Falcons are moving on the north side of the road. Vitality driving on the road on the southern side, but that's going to be a fight between AGL and Vitality just shortly happening here.
Well, looks like Petrichor Road is sent it towards the middle as we get a quick replay here of 17 quickly dispatching with T1. T1 did manage to get a couple in return, but that was very well played there by both squads. It really just turned into a 1v1 at the end as we see a number of teams just kind of playing along that roadside. The high ground on the east and low ground on the west. Kills just picking one off here and there. Now Navi focusing down on Kamal's. Coming in from the south side, no one really there to support Kamal's. The rest of his team is a distance, and there you go, he is going to go down.
Yeah, there's just trying to slide straight to the center. Vitality out in 12th place here. They were way too aggressive at going too deep, and they lost out on everything. Himas with the links as well on Gedrocks. Jedi finds Ming Ming from Petrichor Road. And Navi lost Ferris here from this position at an all. Shadow really trying to hold them out here. The usual Navi would do a straight pull up onto this position, but they have so much strong terrain here from Shadow. They're inside the circle. They have rocks to peek from. Very difficult to take away from them.
That actually might be a come up for AGAL as well, as the Lynx, he was able to take him out of that BRDM that Vitality was working with earlier. So AGAL may have acquired themselves a new toy as Falcons will play just underneath the tower. And now Navi continuing the push up, but you see Shadow. Oh, you don't want to stack up like that. Boostic cooks a perfect grenade. Hansi now the last player left alive as the utility continues to stream over the top.
One more for Boostic. Could get a triple nade. Nah, it's just more damage than the knocks already, and they're going to try to make the most of it here. More damage is being done to them. Come on, they're coming their way. That's a great peek. He gets Spyro down. It's just Boostic. He gets him down. Hansi out. Shadow Esports out in 10th place here. And now it's 7 kills for Navi.
Good work there from Boostic. 480 damage for him. 4 kills in the bag. 7 total for Navi as they starting to find their footing here late in day 1 for them. Rest of Full Sense not able to really pull everybody together and respond to that. So Belmoth just holds on to the high ground as we center up once again on the circle. Donut indeed. Sharper and Tai Lu sparring off to the west, but they have to find a place to play now.
You know what? The slice of pizza on the south just looks like perfectly it's AGL's. This could be their game. Look at that, yeah. They have quite the control in the corner there of the intersection of the road. That is such a strong position. You can reach up and you can look over the ridges and just apply so much damage to everyone. Delvin already setting up that spot, so that's great for them. Falcons now considering, are we going to make a move here? Going to try to make more control here in that eastern side. I don't think they're fully aware that Thanadol is close to them, but they're definitely aware that Full Sense is up there. Let's see what AGL does, though.
Yeah, AGAL, I just briefly saw him on a mortar. Not sure where those mortars were being sent to. but you see Falcons stacked up the way they are, it gives you pause for sure. As we check back in with Full Sense with that high ground. They are going to have to leave it now, though, but they do have a foothold in with Thanadol just on the other side of this column from the rest of the Falcons. Well, it looks like Sharper is going to make their move now, getting close to VP, or what's left of Virtus Pro. Corexi and Beamy on the clock.
Sharper trying to get close, yeah, to VP, as you say here. But two guys just being alive, Corexi and Beamy. Shots coming in and connecting. Coach is on screen here. You can see Gunnar somewhat nervous, it looks like, but he knows how important this game is for them. This is definitely a double-digit potential game here. AGL is setting up quite aggressively. Tyloo actually getting close to sniffing this out as well. As you see Beamy trying to boost up and survive. He's got an AUG and a Panzer in the back. Virtus Pro don't need the points, but definitely want to try to compete against these teams as, of course, can they get more kills? Can they stat pad and get a little bit more confidence from the 3 last games they're playing? Look at that, the BDM on Delvin. That's going to be so impactful throughout this late game.
One they stole off of Vitality. Lynx coming in huge for AGAL. 4 kills for them so far, 3 in the pocket for him, Ass. Complete control over this road as VP is going to make their move. And fortunately, they do so at a time when AGAL was kind of moving on their own. So nobody really looking at them. And now Falcons actually has a line of sight on them. So more shots coming through. Tyloo has wrapped around on the south side as well. So eyes on here. Shots being taken from range from one side of the circle to the other.
And honestly, Full Sense and Falcons could benefit from coexisting on the high ground and low ground. If they could shoot at everyone from everywhere, it could be happening. Earthstopper finds Corexi, though. Belmont finds Spyro. The Navi is down to just Boostic. Gonna have quite the impact here. And Vicious also in the northern side. They have quite the control. Sharper in the west, Tyloo in the south, AGL in the southeast, and the road. So much control. And Falcons, Full Sense just next to each other as Belmont finds it. Look at that, him as also in the mortar. They moved it, they took it with them. Where is it going to land? It's going to have an impact.
I don't know if he was dialed in on that Pagoda, but the first one landed. Oh my goodness, one Dragon. He gets knocked out of that. I'm not sure, was he in the car? Did he get knocked out of the car? I'm not sure. Either way.
Navi out.
Gotta leave, but yeah, Kong Kong on one as well. So Tyloo sending mortars off somewhere. We'll see where they are going. Just a little bit shy of the high ground. I think that's, yeah, kind of aiming over towards Full Sense. But the new circle is going to pull Full Sense in once again. So this might be a Full Sense Falcons fight that's going to have to pop off here as they'll try to drop some grenades down. He's going to do big amounts of damage. Not going to get the knock to start things off, but that one might. Oh my goodness, the one bounce off the rock, keeping them alive as Falcons just hear explosions ringing in their ears.
That's going to be rough. You're going to have to spread out just a little bit more. You cannot have 2 guys that's that close to an 8 here. They're 2-2 stacking, trying to spread out, trying to apply some of these utilities that they have. Headshots are coming in as well for Shrimsy. Now all the smokes are being applied here. They're slightly in on the lower side of this rock here. But now peeking over, peeking across. Ticket gets found from Destroy from AGL from the other side of the road here. Lots of impact. Beamy finds 2 on Vicious. Simon and Tyken is down.
Of course Beamy had the Panzerfaust, and now Beamy's got a BRDM of his own to play with. Well, what's left of it. Either way, he's by himself. He can maybe survive just a little bit longer. We'll see. He'll at least use it for cover, if nothing else, as Vicious will try to make their way in, see if they can finish him off. Meanwhile, Falcons trying to take out what's left of Full Sense. They have just been hanging around, getting shot at by AGAL from the low side. Gustav will find 1, he'll find 2, and now it's down to 1 for Full Sense.
Tigger left alone here now. He's going to have to make a push for it. Can he make it happen here? Shrimsy on the absolute front here. Utilities being deployed. Now nades are coming out as well.
Cook it.
Shrimsy might have. Oh, great peek on him, but the nade's going to do a little bit of damage, but they're going to be fine here. Now they're inside the zone. They're going to be able to reset a little bit, and they're taking the PGC 2025 champions out of this game. 6 teams left, 20 players left alive.
That was a good fight for Falcons there. Clean fight. And obviously, AGAL was kind of pressuring them, so they weren't able to set it up the exact way that they wanted to, but they were still able to come out on top, so well played by them. AGAL just exerting so much control over this lobby from this southeastern side right now. They are a problem that everyone is going to have to deal with here eventually, but right now, Falcons the only one that have their eyes.
Himas finds Kickstart with the links. Tickleton finds Dogby. Vicious is in. Virtus Pro is out in 6th place here. And what an effort from Beamy here. Well played by them. Now we're down to AGL having this much control here. It's going to be so difficult for the rest of the lobby. Falcons trying to survive as much as they can. And look at that, Southern shift straight onto AGL. This is their chance to make it to the finals.
If ever you needed a game to go your way, AGAL going to hit this one as Delwin gets the knock on the kickstart once again. Falcons just getting pressed from all sides. Now Vicious taking shots over there, but now Sharper has actually got a flanking angle over here onto AGAL, so they can't focus fully on Falcons anymore. They have to be looking over towards Sharper. 642 damage there on, I think that was our Zapalui that we just looked at, but you see what Falcons are having to deal with. It's not great. It's not great at all.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult.
No utility left, no smokes in the M79, everything, just nothing.
Obviously their focus now is trying to get out and get Vicious out of the game and eliminated here. There's 2 potential kills on them and also the point for placement. That'll be a 3-point play for them. But let's see how this applies here. Sharper also a potential big game for them here, and they need it. 18 points so far before these 3 games here. So now they're going to be pushing up even further. Gustav finds Tanawat from Sharper. He's going to be able to confirm the point. I'm not sure though.
Tanawat kind of get caught in no man's land there as the rest of his team still playing on the other side of the hill. They're going to have to move eventually. It looks like they're focused in on Tai Lu right now. They've kind of given up then it all for dead. Can't really blame him as Tycon will just spray through the smoke, see if he can find something. He's going to get some damage, but not going to get the knock. But Powell will. He'll find Gustav. He'll find Kickstart immediately following. And now Vicious, there you go, Tig is going to get the return knock. Tycon's been spotted out. Let's see if Tiggleton's Mini is still popping. He's a 1v1 here versus Tycon, but a lot of cover here for Tycon to play around.
Absolutely. Stolen kills left and right and center. Him as finds Tanawat.
Huge rate,
as well. Yeah, it is. Him as is finding Thunders as well. Takes Sharper down. One Dragon goes down to Sharper. It's a big 3-way fight by the big teams left alive. And now without just Jedi, Hausker, and Kong from Tai Lu. Falcons is out in 5th place.
Tai Lu showing signs of life here at the end. Kind of talking about them prior to the game, saying that they don't really have much of a chance. We don't have a lot of faith in their abilities to come from behind this point, but yeah, good night, sweet Tycon. Of course, it's going to be Delwin that gets him too, isn't it? Well, AGAL, we were saying earlier that they looked to be in a fantastic position to secure a win here, and now they have complete control as the circle will pull to them once again, and Tai Lu is up against the wall.
Tai Lu's on the clock. We're talking about them. This is their chance to put points on the board. And they need to win. They need the points. They need the kills.
They need a lot.
Yeah, they need everything, basically. Especially considering they had 1 point in the 3 first games of the day here. And so far now with 2nd place, 6 points for placement alongside the kills that they have. So it's a good one for them. But I don't see them winning this game here. There's a 4-man strong with full 3 gear, with FAMAS, with Lynx. I don't know how many bullets Hennis has left, but Hausker is taking lots of damage here. He has a Panzer. Could have an impact. I don't know if Delva's going to be too greedy with that beard aim and getting too close.
I don't think so, yeah. I mean, you could see just the way that AGAL is posturing right now. They know they're in a 4v3. They're not going to take any super high risks here. They have control of the circle. They have everything they could possibly want. And we'll see Tai Lu. They're going to put 2 in the vehicle, try to send it, but that's going to get absolutely lit up immediately. Kong Kong going to have to hop out, and he's going to get spotted by Sololzi. Somehow, Hausker is still alive. Is able to get behind a tree as the Panzerfaust comes through, but he will get the knock onto Delwin. One Dragon. They'll spot him at. But, you have to imagine Tai Lu kind of in a tough spot. There's no way. You're not going for that res, right?
That's crazy. Delwin with a, oh my god, the confirm from Hausker and Tai Lu here. Great utility usage from him. 6 kills for them so far, and a 12-point game considering they going to be pushing up to 13. Still going to have 2 massive games. Shots comes in. Imas gets so much damage done onto Hausker. You're not going to get that res. Surely One Dragon is going to get absolutely slaughtered with all the utility being thrown in his direction right now.
The red zone comes through, and that's going to do it. AGAL clutch out a huge victory for themselves here at EWC.
Absolutely.